Chapter 1541. Yun Jian's words, coupled with her words and actions, made Fan Xan feel the fear of death. Ah! 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 Fan Xan had been slapped by Yun Jian like a crazy woman at this moment. Her hair was messy, and she was lying on the ground. Stop hitting him. Stop hitting him. I'm an employee of the Pleasure Island Amusement Park's monitoring room. I'm sorry about the accident just now. I found the reason why the little boy was thrown out of the pirate ship. This isn't a technical error. It's the boy lying on the ground who unfastened the seatbelt of the little boy just now when the pirate ship rose to the highest point, causing the little boy to fly out and almost cause an accident. Our Pleasure Island Amusement Park's equipment will not have any technical errors, so all the responsibilities must be borne by him and his parents. We have contacted the police, please wait for a while. Just when the scene was chaotic to a certain extent, a staff member in uniform came over. In order to emphasize that the accident just now was not caused by a technical error in the amusement facilities of his Pleasure Island Amusement Park, he emphasized that Zhang Laifu deliberately persecuted Xiao Yunju just now. The staff spoke in English. Most of the people standing around understood English. At this moment, when they suddenly heard what the staff said, they were completely shocked. The video surveillance in the monitoring room was, just now, Xiao Yunju could be thrown out, not because the safety facilities of the pirate ship were not in place, but Zhang Laifu did it deliberately. Oh my God! This can't be true. The little boy just had an accident, and it was done by this innocent-looking boy. Oh my God! If this is really done by this boy, then his heart is too bad. This kind of person is the scum of society. He should die. He doesn't learn good things at such a young age, and only knows how to harm people. That little girl did a good job. She did a good job. They should be kicked to death. After listening to the staff's words, the people around immediately turned to Yun Jian's side. First of all, the staff of the amusement park would definitely be involved in the ending of this matter. Although Zhang Laifu was young, premeditated murder was no small matter. What's more, if they didn't deal with it properly, if word got out that the amusement park's gaming equipment was faulty and someone almost fell to his death, the amusement park wouldn't take the blame. After such a thing happened, the police came quickly. Yun Jian didn't follow them to the police station. Su Li was the princess of H country. As long as Yun Jian didn't commit murder or arson, the police wouldn't take Yun Jian to the police station in H country. Zhang Laifu, Fan Xan, and Zhang Shan were not so simple. Before Zhang Shan, Zhang Laifu, and Fan Xan were taken away, Yun Jian had already knocked them out. Only then did Zhang Shan dare to come forward. He hugged his son tightly and shouted. At this moment, the phone in Zhang Shan's pocket suddenly vibrated. He quickly put down his son, Zhang Laifu, picked up the phone, and opened the message. He saw that his bank account originally had a balance of tens of millions, but at this moment, the text message was sent. The remaining amount instantly became 0. Zhang Shan, who saw this text message, almost fainted. This text message was followed by a message, "Your wife and son provoked someone who shouldn't be provoked. I'll let you live and take all your wealth." Zhang Shan, who saw this text message, fainted directly. Chapter 1542. After Zhang Shan fainted, Zhang Shan, Zhang Laifu, and Fan Xan were taken to the police station in Country H. The Pleasure Island Amusement Park had blacklisted Zhang Shan and his family. Even the Pleasure Island Amusement Park, which was located all over the world, had blacklisted Zhang Shan and his family. This meant that Zhang Shan and his family would never be able to visit the Pleasure Island Amusement Park again. Watching Zhang Shan and his family being taken away, Xi pressed the last button on his phone with his long fingers and put it down. His thin lips curled up slightly under his handsome face. Yunjian had already comforted Xiao Yunju. Xiao Yunju was only frightened at the beginning. After he regained his composure, Xiao Yunju patted his chest and vowed to Yunjian. "Sister, I'm not afraid. I wasn't scared just now. I'm a man." Seeing that Xiao Yunju wasn't frightened, Yunjian was relieved. Just as she stood up, she saw Ce put down his phone. Yunjian was suspicious. She raised her soft hand to take the phone that Ce was holding. Yunjian reached out her hand to take the phone. Ce wasn't afraid of his privacy or secrets being seen by Yunjian. He directly handed the phone to her, but he pinched Yunjian's hand in return. To Ce, she could look at things like the phone as she pleased. But he needed something substantial in return. For example, Yunjian checked Ce's phone twice and found that Ce had actually used his phone to hack Zhang Shan's bank card. He had also sent a message to Zhang Shan. Yunjian checked Ce's phone. She suddenly raised her head and asked Ce softly with a hint of surprise in her voice. "You're a hacker?" Ce replied to Yunjian and stuck close to Yunjian. Both of them held the hands of Xiao Yunju and the other three children respectively while Ce pressed his face to Yunjian's ear without the slightest hint of embarrassment. "Why didn't I know you're a hacker before?" Yunjian read the content on Ce's phone seriously before turning her head to look at him. Turning to the side, Yunjian's cheeks were almost touching with Ce's lowered head. She turned back quickly and asked. Even Yunjian nearly had the urge to cover her mouth when she asked the question. Since when did she sound like a spoiled child? She was becoming more and more playful when she spoke to Ce. "You didn't know it before, but you know it now. There's still a lot of things about me that Xiao Jian needs to know. Do you want to know and see?" Ce suddenly pressed his lips to Yunjian's ear and spoke softly, his soft voice brushing against the edge of Yunjian's ear. Yunjian nearly shuddered from Ce's soft voice. She quickly pushed the playful Ce away and led Xiao Yunju, the other three children, and Suli out of the pirate ship game. Ce's lips curled into a faint smile on his handsome face. It was a smile that he would only show in front of his most beloved Xiao Jian. Watching Yunjian pull Xiao Yunju and the other three children out, a sinister image suddenly appeared in Ce's mind. He wanted to push his Xiao Jian onto the bed and make her give birth to a bunch of children for him. Just like how Yunjian was holding Xiao Yunju and the other three children's hands now, the positions of Xiao Yunju and the others would be his and Xiao Jian's children in the future, for was not enough. 10. 20. Chapter 1543. Ce did not stay for long as Yunjian had already left. He believed that it would not be long before a baby Ce would be stuffed into Xiao Jian's stomach. It was time for his heir to be born. If Yunjian knew what Ce was thinking, she would probably glare at him before lowering her head. Yao Lily and Lin Wan did not know what happened on the pirate ship. Pleasure Island Amusement Park was indeed a world-famous amusement park. After Yao Lily and Lin Wan walked around the amusement park, they almost couldn't hold any more food and dolls in their hands. Lin Wan had a lot of fun today. Most importantly, she was actually having fun with the superstar, Yao Lily. God! This was something that Lin Wan did not even dare to imagine in the past. After meeting up with Yunjian, the group returned to Country H's palace. Yunjian and Lin Wan came out to play during the weekend. They still had to go back to school on Monday. Therefore, both of them planned to fly back home after dinner in Country H's palace. "You're leaving. Why? Did we not treat you well?" Richard asked loudly in shock when he heard that Yunjian was leaving. Yunjian was leaving. She was leaving so soon. How was he going to keep her in country H? Once Richard remembered that his mother, Marcia, had promised to help him keep Yunjian, he turned to look at Marcia. Queen Marcia nodded at Richard, hinting for him not to be anxious. Richard finally calmed down. Everyone was dining at the long table with Queen Marcia sitting at the most prestigious seat. Hearing Richard's exclamation, Yunjian's eyes dimmed but she ignored him. Yao Lily answered Richard's question for Yunjian. They still have to go back to school. Yao Lily's words made Richard's eyes darken. Richard almost said to Yunjian, Country H is so good, why do you have to come back to Country Z? But after thinking about it, Richard still held back. What happened to Lu Yan was my fault. Please don't take it to heart. Stay for a few more days. Queen Marcia looked at Yunjian and said softly. Even when Marcia was apologizing, her words were full of nobility. It was obvious that she was the queen and everyone sitting below her was inferior to her. I'll return to Z country in a moment. Hearing Marcia's apology, Yunjian did not compromise. She would never change her mind because of anyone. Isn't our country H good? Why are you in such a hurry? Queen Marcia asked again. When she said this, Marcia raised her voice. When Marcia said this, she acted as if she did not hear it at all. Yunjian and Lin Wan returned to Z country because they had to go back to school. Queen, they really have to go back to school. Even Yao Lily felt helpless about Marcia's dictatorship, so Yao Lily spoke again. Since everyone is sitting here, I'll just say it directly. Yunjian, I misunderstood you before. Now the misunderstanding has been cleared. If you stay, I'll let you become the future queen of country H. 3 days later, you'll marry my son Richard. Marcia's words were quite dictatorial. She did not even consider whether Yunjian would agree with her decision or not. Hearing Marcia's words, Ce looked up with his deep eyes that were as sharp as an eagle's. His eyes instantly reflected a strong murderous intent. Just before Ce was about to speak, Yunjian grabbed Ce's hand and signaled him to keep quiet. Then Yunjian stood up by herself. I think I must have made you misunderstand something. What queen of country H? I don't care. It seems that there's no need to continue this meal. Then I'll never see you again. When Yunjian said this, she signaled them to stand up. Lin Wan was confused for a moment. What was going on? However, Lin Wan and the others stood up cooperatively. How dare you? Just when they were about to turn around and walk out of the door, Marcia slammed the table and stood up. I'll give you the position of the future queen of country H, such a great honor, and you don't want it? To be honest, I don't like a woman like you. If it weren't for my who likes you so much, I wouldn't even accept an uneducated woman like you in my country. There was a strong sense of charity in Marcia's words. Chapter 1544. Marcia felt that what she said was like an imperial edict and Yunjian should accept what she said. But in fact, even Yao Lily could not accept Marcia's tone. That was why Yao Lily told Yunjian that although Su Li was Marcia's child, Su Li was completely different from her own mother. Su Li was a good girl, unlike Marcia, who was dictatorial and tyrannical. Marcia's words could not be accepted by anyone. What was more ridiculous was that Marcia felt that what she said was like an imperial edict and there was nothing wrong with it. I don't care about the position of the Queen of H country. This position is a treasure to you, but to me, it is a useless position. Only a useless person can sit on this position forever. Only a woman without her own power and influence would guard her position as queen like a treasure. Needless to say, if H country were to be destroyed one day, then Marcia, the queen, would be even worse than a commoner. Because she only knew how to rely on men. She only knew how to please men in exchange for this position. To be honest, Marcia had nothing now that she had lost the position of queen. How dare you? Marcia was so angry by Yunjian's words that she slammed the table again. Yunjian actually said that she was a useless person? She actually said that the position she was sitting on was a useless one. My daughter is the prince of H country and will be the king of H country in the future. How dare you say something like that? Fine. You don't deserve to be the future queen of H country. But don't even think about leaving today. Even if I want you to be my daughter's concubine, I want you to stay. Guards. Surround them for me. You can't escape today. Marcia slammed the table and roared. At this moment, she even threw away her years of self-restraint. Her carefully dressed face was now extremely ferocious. Marcia originally wanted Yunjian to be her son Richard's woman and the future queen of H country. But now, Marcia had changed her mind. A woman like Yunjian was not worthy of her son, Richard. However, her son, Richard, was already 25 years old. Until now, he had not taken a liking to any woman and had not given birth to an heir. It was rare that Richard liked Yunjian, so Marcia wanted to force Yunjian to stay and let Yunjian give birth to Richard's child. She wanted to stabilize her son's position in country H first. After a long time, he would arrange a wife for Richard, and then let Richard's first wife give birth to an heir for him. At that time, Yunjian could die wherever she wanted, and she wouldn't care at all. Marcia's wishful thinking was very good. She also believed that the royal army of H country could stop Yunjian. Moreover, Marcia felt that Yunjian should be touched to death by giving Yunjian the status of a concubine. As soon as Marcia finished her words, a large group of guards rushed in from outside the palace. These guards were holding submachine guns and pistols in their hands. The scene was so overwhelming that it was frightening. Marcia raised her head high confidently. Yunjian grabbed Siyi's hand and comforted him so that he wouldn't take action. Otherwise, country H would become history if Siyi took action. Country H was innocent. The only one at fault was Marcia. Yunjian glanced around and smiled coldly. She looked into Marcia's eyes and said, "Do you think these people can stop me? Why not? Could it be that you're a god? The royal army of H country is not something you can defeat." Marcia said confidently. The royal army of H country was a powerful army that was famous all over the world. Marcia didn't believe that Yunjian could escape. However, as soon as Marcia finished her words, Richard also felt that his mother's actions would definitely make Yunjian stay. Yunjian smiled contemptuously. Her smile was sweet, but it made everyone's hair stand on end. The royal army of H country is indeed powerful. They have even eliminated an international criminal organization, Yunjian said calmly. Marcia raised her head confidently when she heard that Yunjian knew about the power of the royal army of H country. However, before Yunjian finished her words, Yunjian's words were heard again. Her words resounded throughout the whole place. Marcia, Richard, and all the soldiers who belonged to the royal army of H country were shocked. Yunjian's clear, loud, arrogant, and unabashed words resounded throughout the place. Chapter 1545. Yunjian's clear voice echoed in every corner of the venue. Everyone was stunned when they heard Yunjian's voice. Apart from Ce, no one could react in time. Ce stood next to Yunjian. If Yunjian was not holding his hand, he would have attacked long ago. Why would he wait until now? However, Ce did not attack immediately because Yunjian was holding his hand and he could feel the warmth of her tender hand. Judging from today's situation, he would definitely let Prince Richard and Queen Marcia know how close death was to them. Ce's expression was nonchalant, but those around them who knew what Yunjian was referring to caught up with her swiftly. Yunjian just now, what did she say? She said that Queen Marcia's country H royal army was powerful, but slaying God's kosher mercenaries would not be weaker than Queen Marcia's country H royal army. She even said that there was no such thing in this world as an army that could stop slaying God. Slaying God. Kosher mercenaries. What? Slaying God. Could the slaying God that Yunjian mentioned be the #1 secret agent on the international secret agent ranking? The king of secret agents that no one could surpass. The one who struck fear in people's hearts and made countless international businessmen and politicians flinch. Slaying God. Queen Marcia, Richard, and everyone from Country H's royal army were horrified when they heard Yunjian's words. Yao Lily's face darkened as well. Yao Lily only knew about Yunjian's ability and the fact that Yunjian could come and go as she pleased in an Han organization. Hence, she assumed that Yunjian was comparable to the 4 leaders of an Han organization. However, she had never expected Yunjian to be the #1 secret agent on the international secret agent ranking. No wonder, no wonder. No wonder you're called SS. You're the #1 secret agent on the international secret agent ranking, slaying God. Yao Lily looked at Yunjian in horror. Yao Lily had never asked about Yunjian's identity before, but that didn't mean she wasn't curious. However, Yao Lily knew that the less he knew about this, the better. Today, after hearing Yunjian's question that had puzzled her for many years, Yao Lily was really shocked. It turned out that the person who had saved her back then was slaying God, the #1 on the international secret agent ranking. Queen Marcia and Richard were still in shock. The two of them stood there stupidly, unable to react for a long time. It was not until Yao Lily's exclamation that Marcia and Richard realized what was going on. Naturally, Marcia and Richard knew what slaying God, the #1 on the international secret agent ranking, represented. When Marcia and Richard heard what Yunjian said, they were completely stunned. It was only until they heard Yao Lily's voice that both of them snapped out of their shock. When Marcia heard Yunjian calling herself slaying God, the #1 on the international secret agent ranking, she was about to retort in a cold tone when she heard Yao Lily's voice. Yao Lily had addressed Yunjian as SS from the beginning. That was true. In the beginning, no one knew what Yao Lily meant when he called Yunjian SS. However, after hearing Yunjian's self-address and recalling that Yao Lily had always addressed Yunjian as SS, slaying God, she was SS. Are you really? Are you really slaying God, the #1 on the international secret agent ranking? The current boss of kosher mercenaries? The queen's noble demeanor crumbled again and again. Her pupils constricted as she stared at Yunjian and shrieked in shock. Yunjian, the woman that her son Richard had his eyes on, was actually slaying God, the #1 on the international secret agent ranking. The king of secret agents who terrorized the world. Queen Marcia had just finished asking Yunjian when she saw Yunjian taking 2 steps toward her. Marcia's heart skipped a beat when she saw that. She was so shocked that her face froze. In the next second, Yunjian took 2 slow steps toward Marcia. She smirked and spoke in a cold voice. Marcia was so shocked that the crown on her head fell off. Chapter 1546. Slaying God, the #1 on the international secret agent ranking, was a world-class existence. Not only that, she was also the boss of the kosher mercenaries. The kosher mercenaries alone were comparable to the country H's royal army. No. The kosher mercenaries were not on the same level as the country H's royal army. The kosher mercenaries were many times more powerful than the country H's royal army. In other words, if the kosher mercenaries wanted to, they could even destroy a country. At the very least, the kosher mercenaries could fight against the country H's forces. Marcia's face darkened completely. Especially after hearing what Yunjian said, Marcia was even more terrified. The manners of a queen did not exist in Marcia's mind at all. Marcia's face turned pale. Fortunately, Lin Wan was not around. Otherwise, she would have been scared out of her wits and it would be difficult for Yunjian to explain. Even if you're the number one on the international secret agent ranking, slaying God, so what? Don't forget that your brother and sister are still here. The country H's royal army may not be able to trap you, but don't forget that your brother and sister won't be able to escape death either. Marcia was so frightened by what Yunjian said that the crown on her head fell off. She quickly squatted on the ground to pick it up and put it back on. From the corner of her eye, she saw Xiao Yunju and the rest. Therefore, Marcia used this to threaten Yunjian. Of course, the moment Marcia heard Yunjian say that she was slaying God, she was completely terrified. The number one on the international secret agent ranking, slaying God. She did not dare to let Yunjian stay. Unless Marcia did not want to live anymore. However, based on what Yunjian said, it seemed that Yunjian was not going to let her go. Marcia trembled violently. However, as the queen of country H, she forced herself to calm down. Compared to Marcia's reaction, Richard looked at Yunjian with infatuation and despair. She was slaying God, the number one on the international secret agent ranking. Did this mean that there was no hope for him? What Marcia said sounded right to the people around her. It was true that slaying God was powerful and no one dared to refute that statement. However, Yunjian now had a family to feed. She was not alone. She had brought Xiao Yunju and the other two with her. As slaying God, the top secret agent in the international ranking, it was only natural that she could escape from the guns of country H's royal army easily. However, things were different now. She, Yunjian, was no longer alone. She even brought along Xiao Yunju and the other two. It wasn't difficult for her to escape alone, but what if she brought along Xiao Yunju and the other two? Marcia was full of confidence this time. She could not afford to offend slaying God. Then, threaten slaying God. Slaying God would definitely compromise after being threatened. At that time, she would ask Yunjian to bring Xiao Yunju and the others away quickly. Marcia's only thought was to send slaying God away. She did not want to create a disaster because of her actions. However, just as Marcia finished her sentence, Yao Lily continued. What Yao Lily said made Marcia's expression change drastically. SS once brought dozens of people to escape the attack of hundreds of gold medal assassins. Let alone bringing 3 to 4 people to escape from country H's royal army's attack. I know her. With her ability, even if she managed to escape safely with her people, she still has the ability to wipe out country H's royal army. Yao Lily was very firm when she said this because she had seen Yunjian's ability before. What are you talking about? How is this possible? Yao Lily's words made Marcia's jaw drop. Just when Marcia was so shocked that she could no longer express the fear in her heart with panic, Ce, who was walking toward her from a distance, walked toward her. Ce, who stood not far away, strode forward and took 2 steps toward Yunjian, extending his arm to pull her into his embrace. Ce pulled Yunjian into his embrace in front of everyone. His thin lips curled as he spoke coldly. His words were directed at Marcia and Richard. 100 missiles from an Hun organization have locked onto country H's royal palace. You will pay for your foolish actions. Chapter 1547. With Ce's attack, how could country H survive? At this moment, the words in Hun organization deeply agitated everyone present. Everyone's expression changed abruptly. Especially Marcia and Richard. The Kosha mercenaries and slaying God were enough to scare Marcia and Richard. Marcia had completely dispelled the idea of keeping Yunjian. However, the problem now was that Yunjian and Ce would not agree to it even though Marcia had dispelled this ridiculous idea. They wanted to stop now that things had escalated to this stage. There was no easy solution in this world. An Hun organization. I thought an Hun organization doesn't participate in any country's disputes. Why? Marcia's expression changed again and again. Her face could no longer be described as flabbergasted. First, it was the Kosha mercenaries. Now, it was an Hun organization. These two organizations were the assassin organizations that had caused an uproar in the world today. Marcia was so scared that she almost had a heart attack. Her whole life of being reserved and pretending to be elegant had completely collapsed at this moment. What are you going to do to Country H? At this moment, Richard finally understood the meaning of the word fear. He lifted his head and looked at Ce in horror. The expression in his eyes was endless fear. Country H will be destroyed because of you. Ce did not even look at Richard. He did not allow Yunjian to speak. Instead, he pulled Yunjian into his arms and said these words to Richard in despair. Country H, destroyed. No. To Richard, this was a fact that was harder to accept than death. I don't want Yunjian anymore. I don't want Yunjian to stay and be my woman. Let us go. Let us go. Richard ran toward Ce. Richard, who was not short, looked like a defeated captive at this moment. It was hilarious. When Ce heard Richard say, I don't want Yunjian to stay and be my woman, his eyes suddenly flashed sharply. In the next second, just as Richard ran to Ce to beg for mercy, Ce lifted his leg and kicked Richard to the ground. He held on to Yunjian tightly with one hand. When his other leg kicked Richard to the ground, he stepped on Richard's abdomen. Then, Ce stepped on Richard's abdomen and tossed and turned. His strength was so strong that Richard's internal organs made a gurgling sound. My woman can only be sullied by me. Who do you think you are? How dare you steal my woman? Prince of Country H. Even if you are the king of Country H, in front of me, you are still a piece of trash. As Ce spoke, his long leg stepped on Richard's abdomen even more violently. Richard's face turned green after being stepped on. The royal army of Country H had already been frightened by Yunjian and Ce. At this moment, no one dared to move. No, no, no. This is all my fault. Let us go. I kneel to you. Please let go. Is innocent. He did not do anything wrong. Please let go. Marcia looked at her son, Richard, who was being stepped on by Ce and was in so much pain that he wished he was dead. She really regretted it this time. Seeing that Richard was almost suffocated by Ce's foot, Marcia directly gave up her dignity as a queen. She actually knelt down in front of Ce in front of everyone. But who was Ce? Why would he care about Marcia? Just when Marcia thought that things had reached a point of no return, something even more desperate happened. At this moment, a guard rushed in from outside the gate. When she saw this guard, Marcia was stunned. This guard was Marcia's husband, who was also the closest confidant of the king of Country H. Before Marcia could wonder why the king's closest confidant was here, the bodyguard then exclaimed in an exaggerated tone, "Young master, you've been through a lot." Queen. Prince. Not good, I don't know what happened, but the technical department of Country H has been completely infiltrated by a large group of hackers. All the money in the bank has been frozen and all the weapons and equipment have been completely hacked. The king is rushing people to the front hall. You should go and take a look. Just when the guard finished speaking, Marcia and Richard suddenly looked up at CE with narrowed eyes. Chapter 1548. How could he do this? At this moment, Marcia and Richard felt like dying. If Marcia and Richard weren't sure that CE was a member of an Hun just now, then Marcia and Richard were sure of it now. Because in today's world, other than some powerful countries, only an Hun could completely disrupt each country's technology department in just a few minutes. This was too scary. In the high-tech world, if a hacker was good enough, he could do many incredible things. And in Hun was a place where countless elites and talents were gathered. After the guard finished his words, he was also frightened by the atmosphere at the scene. How could the king of H country kneel to a stranger? Their prince of H country was actually being stepped on by a stranger. The guard who didn't know what was going on shouted and rushed towards CE. At the same time, the guard took out a pistol from his waist and tried to aim it at CE. He shouted, "Let go of our prince," and rushed towards CE. However, just as the guard was about to fire, CE lifted Richard from the ground and used Richard to block the guard's gun. The guard reacted quickly. Seeing that CE used the prince to block the gun, he immediately put away his pistol and didn't fire. At the same time, CE took 2 steps forward with his long legs and sent the guard flying with a kick. It was so fast that the people around them could not see it with their naked eyes. At the same time, his hands were tightly wrapped around Yunjian's slender waist and he couldn't bear to let go of Yunjian. After kicking the guard away, CE stepped on Richard's body. However, this time, CE didn't step on Richard's abdomen. Instead, he stepped directly on Richard's head. Richard was completely humiliated when CE stepped on his head. As the prince of a country, as a global superstar, he didn't even have the strength to resist when his head was stepped on by a man. Richard was ashamed and desperate. "Ah! Ah! Just kill me! Ah!" Richard was not willing to continue being humiliated. However, this was not the end. CE stepped on Richard's head, making it impossible for Richard to turn around. The strength of his leg was so great that Richard couldn't even turn over. The pain in his body and the humiliation in his heart almost drove Richard to the brink of collapse. But this was not the end. CE held Yunjian with one hand and stepped on Richard's head. She said to Richard word by word, "She's my woman. Don't even think about it. Her entire body belongs to me. Even if it's going to be defiled, it can only be me. Because she belongs to me." CE's possessiveness was shocking. After he said the last word to Richard, he lifted his leg that was stepping on Richard's head, but at the same time, he lifted his leg and kicked Richard's face, knocking him out. CE was not throwing a tantrum. He was just handling a matter calmly. His Xiao Jian could only be his. Even if he wanted to, it could only be him. Everything about her, from her skin to her cells, could only belong to him. His personal possession. Even if she was tainted, it could only be done by him. Ah! Dua My dear Marcia had completely lost her dignity as a queen. When she saw that Richard had fainted, she crawled toward Richard like a frightened dog. The crown on her head fell off as well. Marcia did not look like a queen at all. Richard and Marcia were completely scared out of their wits. CE was already holding Yunjian's hand and walking out. Before he left, he took Xiao Yunju and the other 2 with him. He held Yunjian's hand carefully with one hand while his other hand grabbed Xiao Yunju and the other 2 by their collars and dragged them outside. Yao Lily followed them out as well. She planned to look for Lin Wan, who had gone to the washroom because of a stomachache just now. CE held Xiao Yunju's collar with one hand and Yunjian's hand with the other like he was holding a treasure as they left Country H's palace. The Country H's royal army in Country H's palace did not dare to make a sound. They could only watch as Ce left with Yunjian. Not long after Ce pulled Yunjian out of the palace, Missouri Sen arrived in a helicopter. Mo Sen was called over by Ce. After Ce carried Xiao Yunju and the other three onto the helicopter, he carried Yunjian onto the helicopter and returned to Country Z. Chapter 1549. Ce brought Yunjian back to Country Z straight away. Of course, the matter in Country H was not over yet. He would deal with Marcia and Richard, but with Xiao Yunju and the other three here, Ce's actions just now had stunned Xiao Yunju and the others. Ce had wanted to crush Richard's head with his foot. If Xiao Yunju and the others saw such a gory scene, they would definitely be traumatized from their childhood. Therefore, it was all thanks to Xiao Yunju and the others that Richard was able to survive this time. What happened after that was simple. Ce did not declare war on Country H. Country H was not weak and it was easy for Ce's and Hun Group to annihilate the country. However, an Hun Group's internal influence would be greatly reduced after that. And Hun Group's influence might even fall to the level of the Kosha mercenaries. Of course, if Yunjian had the intention to annihilate Country H, Ce would have done it. He did not care about anything else. Even if an Hun Group was gone, it was not as important as his Xiao Jian. His Xiao Jian was his everything. The necessary persecution was unavoidable. Richard and Marcia would pay a painful price for their actions. Yunjian did not know what the price was for now. Yunjian was currently sitting on Ce's lap. She could not move even if she wanted to. Xiao Yunju and the others had taken up more than half of the space in the helicopter, so she could only sit on Ce's lap obediently. Beep, beep, beep. Let's go, let's go. The scary thing was that Xiao Yunju and the others began to play with each other the moment they boarded the helicopter. There was only so much space in the helicopter. Xiao Yunju and the others began to play with each other. Yunjian, who sat on Ce's lap, could clearly feel Xiao Yunju and the others accidentally bumping into Ce, causing her to jerk up and down on Ce's lap. It was as if, at this moment, Yunjian could clearly feel that part of Ce was expanding at a fiery speed. Yunjian hurriedly looked out of the window and pretended not to notice the change in Ce. The Xiao Yunju trio were still making a ruckus. At this moment, Yunjian suddenly felt Ce leaning towards her right ear. She whispered to Yunjian in a voice only the two of them could hear. "Xiao Jian, I want you." As soon as Ce finished speaking, Yunjian almost slid down from Ce's lap. In the end, however, Yunjian returned to Longmen City with a smile on her face despite Ce's harassment. Just as they arrived at Gu Yunjian's house, they saw Shuang sitting in the living room of Gu Yunjian's house. His chest was bare and a certain part of his muscular chest was wounded by a sword and was still bleeding. Si Luo, who sat beside Shuang, was applying medicine for him with trembling hands and tears in her eyes. Yunjian and Ce, who witnessed the scene, frowned slightly. Qin Yiru was definitely not home and neither was Gu Junjian. That was why Shuang was here. "Woman, what are you crying for?" "I'm not dead yet. It's just a little injury." Shuang looked at Si Luo, who was wiping away her tears as she applied medicine for him. He was not in pain but was annoyed by her. "Sob, you're hurt." "It hurts." Si Luo was no longer as fearful of the long scar on Shui Ying's neck as she used to. She was sobbing uncontrollably as she applied medicine for Shui Ying's trembling body. "Young master, it's someone from Yulong mainland." When Yunjian and Ce saw the scene, Mo Sen, who stood beside them, spoke with a darkened gaze. "Yulong mainland. The witch tribe is in trouble. Adam went missing not long ago after he sent the news back. Mo Sen's expression was grim. When he heard that Adam had gone missing, he had almost rushed to Yulong mainland to look for him. Yulong mainland. Yun Jian pressed her lips together with a raised brow. For some reason, her instincts told her something. Chapter 1550. Tell me the details. Si lowered his dark eyes slightly. He looked sideways at Mo Sen and said these three words briefly. Yun Jian's eyes also lowered slightly. They had lost contact with Adam. Did this mean that they had lost track of Adam in the Yulong continent? Adam and Lan Su were together. If they lost contact with Adam, it meant that something must have happened to Lan Su. Something must have happened to the witch tribe. It's like this. Someone desperately escaped from the witch tribe and brought us news that something had happened to the witch tribe. The #1 aristocratic family in the Yulong continent, the Huyan family, had attacked the witch tribe. At that time, that person was chased by a group of Huyan family's top experts to the organization. The Huyan family's top experts were all killed by Shuang. Cough cough, but Shuang suffered some minor injuries in order to save Si Luo. Mo Sen's brows furrowed tighter with every word he said. In short, the witch tribe was in danger. They did not know whether Adam, who was in the witch tribe, was in trouble. The #1 aristocratic family in the Yulong continent, the Huyan family. Yun Jian uttered the words softly and slowly. A sharp glint flashed in her deep eyes as a sharp, murderous intent flashed in an unknown corner. Young master, are we going to the Yulong continent? Mo Sen suddenly frowned. He looked sideways at Ce and asked solemnly. Pack up. We'll leave in 3 days. Ce relaxed his brows slightly, but the seriousness on his face did not diminish. I'll go too. For some reason, Yun Jian could not let go of the witch tribe. Okay. Ce had no objection to Yun Jian going with him. Because he had enough strength to protect her. Send a helicopter to pick us up at the Min City Military Academy in 3 days. Ce looked at Yun Jian and said to Mo Senator he would not return to the Inhun organization in these 3 days. He wanted to accompany Yun Jian to the Min City Military Academy. Yes. Mo Sen replied solemnly when he heard that Ce was going to the Yulong continent. Ce did not believe that something had happened to Adam in the Yulong continent. Even if something did happen, it wouldn't be life-threatening. In other words, as one of his 4 great protectors, how could Adam be persecuted by a mere aristocratic family of Yulong mainland? Of course, going to Yulong mainland was purely because he understood her. Yun Jian would definitely go to the Yulong continent. Ce believed that she would go to the Yulong continent no matter if she was once the sorcerer goddess or the current her. Because the shaman tribe had once been her only hope for survival. It was a sudden decision to return to Yulong mainland. Ce intended to let Mo Sen and Shuang accompany her. Last time, it was Adam and Mawson. The Inhun organization couldn't be without people. It was enough to leave Lin Wei alone in the organization. I'm staying with Qingyu Jijia in Longmen City. Si Luo finally spoke up meekly and turned her gaze to Yun Jian, as if wanting Yun Jian to put in a word for her. Because Shuang refused. Indeed, the moment Si Luo finished speaking, Shuang grabbed Si Luo's hand and smelled the minty scent on Si Luo's body. No, you have to come with me. But if it weren't for me, you wouldn't be injured so badly. I can't hurt you anymore. I won't go. I'll stay in Longmen City with Qingyu Jijia. Si Luo blamed herself because Shui Ying's injury this time was her fault. Si Luo tried to break free from Shui Ying's grip, tears streaming down her cheeks at the thought of Shui Ying's injury. Let her stay in Longmen City with Qingyu. She won't run away, Yun Jian said softly when she saw the situation. The trip to Yulong mainland this time was not safe. Si Luo was just an ordinary girl. If she went along, Shuang would have to protect her. Si Luo was aware of this as well, which was why she refused to go. She did not want to be a burden to him. She would rather be the one injured. All right. Shuang relented at once at Yunjian's persuasion. Chapter 1551. Si Luo looked up at Shuang. She actually wanted to ask if she could stay with Sister Qinyu forever. However, when she opened her mouth, Si Luo recalled that she had asked this before and was dragged away by Shuang every time. Si Luo gulped and nodded in the end. She did not ask the question that was in her heart. She felt that when Shuang came back and realized that she had been staying with Qinyu for so long, she must make it clear to him that she did not want to stay with him anymore. She was a girl. It was not good for her to stay with a guy like him. Yes, she would make it clear to Shuang when he came back. Early the next morning, Ce and Yunjian went to Min City's military academy. They did not depart to Yulong mainland directly because they wanted to catch the Huyan family off guard. This was Ce's first time coming to Min City's military academy since school started. However, with Ce's age, the school could only arrange for him to be promoted to Senior 3. "I'll look for you in the afternoon," Ce said softly to Yunjian as they walked to the teaching building. Yunjian nodded. Ce then turned around with his hands in his pockets lazily as he made his way to the Year 3 classroom. It was only then that Yunjian went to her classroom. Lin Wan did not know that Yunjian had gone to the toilet when she revealed her identity in Country H's palace. Lin Wan had no idea what had happened in Country H when she saw Yunjian coming in from the classroom door. She quickly waved at Yunjian and smiled brightly. "Yunjian, you're here for school. I told Muing about our trip to Country H 2 days ago. It was fun, wasn't it?" Lin Wan was not in Country H's palace at that time. She had gone to the toilet, so she did not see Country H's Queen Marcia's face. Therefore, in Lin Wan's eyes, she thought that Marcia and Richard, the Queen of H Kingdom, were quite friendly. Yunjian didn't explain much. She just nodded her head in agreement with Lin Wan. No matter what Marcia and Richard had done before, since Lin Wan was not present at that time, it would be good to leave a good impression on her. For someone who didn't know the truth, there was no need to let her know the truth. Sometimes, knowing the truth wouldn't do any good. Muing had already returned to the Min Military Academy. Since Mad Dragon had returned to the Kosha mercenaries, there was no point for her to continue staying at home. "Yunjian, come to the office." Just as the class was bustling with noise and excitement, before the class officially started, their homeroom teacher, Mr. Chu, stood at the front door of the classroom and waved to Yunjian. After Ms. Chu called Yunjian, she went back to her office. When the surrounding students saw that their homeroom teacher came to the classroom and called Yunjian to the office personally, they were all in an uproar. "Oh my God, the homeroom teacher came to the classroom personally to call Yunjian. Yunjian, did you do something that annoyed the homeroom teacher? Hurry up and go to the office. Don't get scolded if you're late." Usually, nothing good happened in the office, so the students naturally thought so. Lin Wan also looked at Yunjian in confusion. In the end, for Yunjian's sake, she also said to Yunjian, "Yunjian, hurry up and go to the office." Yunjian nodded. She turned and walked out of the classroom under the gaze of the whole class. Walking along the corridor to the office, Yunjian saw more than 10 students standing in the office. However, Yunjian had never seen these students before. She guessed that they must be second or third year students. Moreover, these students were all boys. This row of boys stood in the office with their heads slightly lowered. They looked very similar to boys who were punished for making a mistake. Just as Yunjian walked into the office, Miss Chu waved at Yunjian. Yunjian, come, come. Everyone's here. Hurry up and come over. Although Yunjian had her doubts, she still followed her. At this moment, Miss Chu cleared her throat and said, "Ahem, it's like this. There are more than 10 high school military schools like Min City Military School all over the country. This year's new semester has just begun. All the high school military schools in the country are planning to send their strongest students to participate in a friendly competition. This friendly competition is a competition of strength. Ahem, of course, since more than 10 military schools are sending their strongest students to participate in the competition, we have to get a good ranking, right? As for you guys, you are the strongest students selected by our school. Because this competition notice is a little rushed, you have to pack your bags and participate in the competition this afternoon. If you guys don't have any objections, then it's decided." Just as Miss Chu finished speaking, the boys standing around expressed that they had no objections. These boys were seniors from the second and third years of high school, but they had never seen Yunjian before. In the past, there were more than 10 high school military schools in the country every year. However, those who were qualified to participate were usually male students. Moreover, they were definitely not new first-year students. Therefore, one of the boys looked at Yunjian a few times. In the end, he couldn't help but look at Yunjian with a questioning gaze. He said to Miss Chu, "Miss Chu, I have no objections to the others. This girl is a first-year student, right? Our school has never sent a girl to participate in such a large-scale friendly competition. Moreover, she's a first-year student." Chapter 1552. There were about a dozen military schools for high school students in the country. There weren't many military schools for high school students, but there were many military schools for university students. Min City Military School was a military school for high school students. There were only a dozen military schools for high school students like Min City Military School in the country. Normally, these military academies would send out their strongest students every year to participate in the friendly competition between the military academies of the high school age group. This was something that everyone in Min City Military School knew. However, there had never been a girl among the strongest students in the school who could participate in the friendly competition in the past. Moreover, the school usually wouldn't send freshmen to participate in such a friendly competition. Freshmen were students who had just entered high school and hadn't participated in the school's training. To put it bluntly, freshmen hadn't been trained and were no different from ordinary high school students. Unless the school was stupid, they definitely wouldn't send freshmen to participate in such a friendly competition. Therefore, the moment this boy finished speaking, the other boys protested. "That's right, teacher. We don't have any other opinions. You're asking a girl to participate in a friendly competition, and she's still a freshman. If she drags us down, we won't even have a place to cry. That's right. Teacher, you can't do this to us." These male students were all from the second and third year of high school. More importantly, these male students had participated in the same friendly competition as this one. Therefore, they were very concerned about whether they won the friendly competition or not. "Stop making noise. What are you guys doing?" Teacher Chu first knocked the heads of the dozen or so male students one by one, and then snorted softly. Then, Mr. Chu cleared his throat and said to the dozen or so male students, "Compared to Yunjian, it's still not certain who's better. Moreover, this friendly competition will last for 3 days. On the first and second day of these 3 days, the organizers will bring you guys to a bodyguard company for training. That bodyguard company is a big company that's famous all over the world. There are many experienced bodyguards in it. When the time comes, the bodyguards of their bodyguard company will point out your weaknesses one by one and then correct them. The friendly competition will only be held on the last day of the 3 days. After Teacher Chu said this, he successfully attracted the attention of the dozen or so male students to other places. 2 days before the competition, will be sent to a bodyguard company for training. Teacher, the bodyguard company you're talking about, is it the world-famous cheetah bodyguard company? As soon as Teacher Chu finished speaking, a male student immediately asked in a surprised and crazy voice. After this male student finished his question, another male student answered in a shocked voice, "What's wrong with you? Cheetah bodyguard company? Isn't that a world-famous bodyguard company? I heard that Cheetah Bodyguard Company's bodyguards were formed after they retired from the top special forces from various countries. Moreover, the bodyguards of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company are all experts who have faced off against some of the top international assassins and secret agents. It's just like in movies, they're really amazing." After this boy finished speaking, the other boys were 10 male cheeped. That's right. The bodyguard company you're going to for training is the Cheetah Bodyguard Company. Finally, under the expectant gazes of more than a dozen male students, Mr. Chu nodded. Chapter 1553. In the end, under the eager gazes of the male students, Mr. Chu forced a smile and waved his hand, indicating that the students could return to the classroom first. Go back to the classroom first. Gather at the field after lunch. In the afternoon, there will be a car to send you to Cheetah Bodyguard Company to meet with the students from the other military schools. After Mr. Chu said that, the male students turned around and left the office in groups of 2 or 3. Yun Jian, wait a minute, Mr. Chu called out to Yun Jian when the male students turned around and left the office. Yun Jian turned her head sideways and looked up at Mr. Chu. Although it's a friendly competition, the school knows what you're capable of. The school wants you to try your best to get first place in this friendly competition. It might be a little difficult. How confident are you? Mr. Chu asked Yun Jian. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. For some reason, Mr. Chu felt nervous for a moment. In the next second, Yun Jian suddenly broke into a smile and said confidently, "I'll win." Seeing Yun Jian return to the classroom from the office, Lin Wan was worried that Yun Jian had been called to the office by the homeroom teacher and was scolded. Seeing Yun Jian's relaxed and nonchalant expression, Lin Wan could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. She's probably been scolded by the teacher. How long is she pretending to be calm? Slashing God from Team Monarch. I think she's just a so-so. Lin Shuya, who had always been at odds with Yun Jian, sat with a few other girls in the class and used exaggerated words to provoke Yun Jian. Ever since Yun Jian stole the limelight, Lin Shuya had been displeased with Yun Jian. However, Yun Jian had never bothered with Lin Shuya. In the last class in the morning, after the teacher announced the end of class, Yun Jian had just stood up when she heard a few girls in the classroom holding their faces and screaming. They were screaming so loudly that their bodies were trembling violently. "Ah! Who's that guy? He's so handsome. Oh my God! Too handsome. Is he from our school? Why haven't I seen him in school before?" The girls in the class screamed. Yun Jian didn't need to think to know that it was Ce. If it was an ordinary high school boy, hearing so many girls screaming at him, he would have already flown into the air. However, Ce was different. No matter how pretty or seductive the girls around him were, he only had eyes for Yun Jian. The people sitting around him were just a mass of air. Ce walked directly into Yun Jian's classroom in front of everyone. He then reached out his slender hand to grab Yun Jian's small hand and let her out. This scene made Lin Shuya so envious that she almost shouted out loud. Ce dragged Yun Jian to the vice principal's office in Min City Military Academy. At this moment, the vice principal was combing his bald head. The vice principal was facing the mirror and using the comb to comb the few remaining strands of hair in the center of his head. As he carefully combed his hair, he accidentally lost another strand of hair. Oh my god, my hair. If this goes on, I'm going to become bald. The vice principal sorrowfully held up the strand of hair that he had accidentally combed. He pinched the strand of hair with his fingertips and tried to put it back on his head. Bang! Before the vice principal could put the strand of hair back on his head, the door was suddenly kicked open, making a loud noise. The vice principal's hand slipped and he accidentally stuffed the strand of hair into his mouth. Oh my god, pooey pooey pooey. Pooey pooey pooey. He almost swallowed the strand of hair. The vice principal spat several mouthfuls of saliva before spitting out the strand of hair. Just as he came back to his senses, he saw a handsome man holding a girl's hand standing in front of him. I also want to participate in the friendly competition. He saw the handsome man walk in front of him and spit out these words. The vice principal raised his head and suddenly saw that the door to his office not far away had been broken by the handsome man's kick. The door had flown directly into his office. Seeing this, the vice principal was so scared that his butt slipped and he almost fell off his seat. Chapter 1554. The vice principal had already slid to the ground. He gripped his desk tightly to prevent himself from falling on his butt. The vice principal was a funny person. He usually played around with his classmates and had a lot of fun. The only drawback was that he was bald and had very little hair. The vice principal of Min City Military Academy was usually not in the school, so many things were decided by the vice principal. At this moment, the vice principal was so shocked by CE's actions that his face turned red and purple. You, which class are you two from? This, you guys are holding hands, you guys, you two. Oh my god, did you two come to my office to show off your love? Don't you know that I've been catching couples in school these past few weeks? The vice principal didn't pay attention to CE's words. His attention was attracted by CE and Yunjian's tightly held hands. The school had a rule that stated that dating was not allowed. During this period, the vice principal had been patrolling around the school to catch couples who didn't follow the school rules. In the end, CE and Yunjian did it. What did they do? They held hands and ran to his office to show off their love. Are you kidding me? The vice principal stood up with a hand on his chest. He had lived for so many years and had been the vice principal for so many years. This was the first time he saw a couple in school showing off their love in his office. Old man, I'll say it again. I'm also participating in the friendly match this afternoon. CE ignored the vice principal's words and said directly. What? You want to participate in the friendly match this afternoon? Which class are you two from? What's your name? I'll deduct points from your class. Io, how dare you call me an old man? Although I'm really an old man, you're bullying me. The vice principal said as he stroked his chest, looking as though he had been dealt a heavy blow. CE. He only said his name. Okay. CE, right? I'll remember it. You're still calling me an old man. I'll remember it and deduct points. What? CE. Your name is CE. When the vice principal said the first half of the sentence, he was still looking for the booklet on his desk to record the weekly demerit points. However, he suddenly realized that the second half of the sentence was actually a cry of surprise. You said your name is CE. The vice principal was so shocked that he almost bit his own tongue. He stared at CE in shock. CE didn't say a word as she tossed her student ID to the vice principal. The vice principal opened it and glanced at it. He almost fainted. The principal of Min City's military academy had warned him repeatedly that no matter who he offended, he should never offend a student named CE. Give him whatever he wants. Otherwise, the Min City Military Academy would be finished. In the afternoon, right after lunch, CE helped Yunjian carry her school bag. There were some of her clothes in the bag, and the two of them walked to the sports field. The boys whom she had met in the office just now were already standing there waiting for her. When they saw Yunjian, their faces darkened. They looked at her as if they were certain that Yunjian would be a burden. When they saw CE, one of the male students who had previously mentioned Yunjian shouted, "You're a transfer student. Why are you here?" This male student was CE's classmate. His name was Wang Kuan. Wang Kuan was the strongest male student in the third year of high school, so he was very confident and felt that he was great. When he saw CE, Wang Kuan couldn't believe his eyes. How could a transfer student like CE, who only had a good appearance, join the friendly match this time? CE didn't respond. Ahem. There's a new student. Everyone, get ready to set off. The bus is here. Teacher Chu was the teacher in charge, so he coughed lightly and urged everyone. Chapter 1555. Wang Kuan's words immediately gained the approval of the other male students. That's right. What's wrong with the school this year? Not only did they get a female freshman to participate in the friendly competition, they even allowed a transfer student to participate. Now, we don't even know if the transfer student is strong or weak. The school is really too much. Another male student said. Wang Kuan, aren't you the strongest in our school? When we reach the cheetah bodyguard company later, they will definitely know what fear is. You have to do what you did last year and bring glory to our school. Then, you have to bring us back with the third place among all the military academies. A male student standing beside Wang Kuan patted Wang Kuan's shoulder and said confidently. Of course. Last year, I brought everyone to third place among all the military academies. This year, I will definitely bring everyone back with the second place among all the military academies. Wang Kuan gestured confidently. Last year, Min City Military Academy only got third place among all the military academies. Last year, it was also Wang Kuan who led the team because Wang Kuan was indeed strong. After all, there were more than a dozen military academies participating in the friendly competition. Getting third place was already impressive enough. Today, when they heard Wang Kuan say that he was confident of getting second place among all the military academies, the dozen male students were all fired up. One must know that there were more than a dozen military academies participating in the friendly competition. To get second place was definitely considered outstanding. As for getting first place among all the military academies, this was something that they did not even need to think about. It was definitely impossible. Why did they say that? The answer was very simple. Among these dozen military academies, there was a school called Taiji Military Academy whose students were quite strong. How strong were they? In the friendly competition every year, Taiji Military Academy always got first place without any suspense. Therefore, Wang Kuan's thoughts of getting first place were immediately dispelled. To be able to get second place was already very, very impressive for Wang Kuan's group. Wang Kuan's group of male students talked confidently, working hard to get second place among all the military academies. However, this group of people did not know that just now in the office, Yunjian had already promised teacher Chu that she would definitely win if she got first place among all the military academies. While they were talking, Yunjian, CE, and the others had already boarded the long-distance bus to the airport. After transferring from the airport, they finally arrived at Pu City in He Province after a 2-hour flight. He Province was far away from Zhe Province, but it only took 2 hours by plane. The Cheetah Bodyguard Company was located in Pu City, He Province. After getting off the plane, they took a bus and arrived at the Cheetah Bodyguard Company. The headquarters of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company was located in a tall building. As soon as Yunjian, Ce, and the others entered, Wang Kuan and the others couldn't help but exclaim. As expected of Cheetah Bodyguard Company. This place is too luxurious. Oh my god. Our 2 days of training will be here. Just thinking about it makes me excited. While Wang Kuan and the rest were shouting, they were already brought to the lobby of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company. There was a group of people standing in the hall. It was not hard to tell that these people were some of the strongest students from different military academies. At a glance, the people standing in the hall were all men. There were 1 or 2 girls. More than a dozen military academies had chosen their strongest students to participate in this competition. In total, there were more than 100 people here. More than 100 people, but there were only 1 or 2 girls. It could be seen that this was a battlefield for men. If a girl appeared here, she would only be looked down upon. Yo! If I'm not wrong, you're students from Min City Military Academy, right? TSK, what's wrong? You couldn't beat our super godly military academy last year and got 3rd place. This year is even more impressive. You even brought girls to participate in the competition. You want to beat our super godly military academy. TSK, dream on. Chapter 1556. Lin Zigua. Just you wait. We will definitely surpass you this year. Wang Kuan and the others clenched their fists in anger when they heard the malicious words of the boy who walked up to them. The boy who came up to speak with bad intentions was called Lin Zigua. Lin Zigua was a student from the Super Godly Military Academy. In last year's friendly competition, Taiji Military Academy won 1st place. 2nd place was Super Godly Military Academy. 3rd place was Min City Military Academy. Last year, Wang Kuan's team almost got 2nd place, but they were overtaken by Lin Zigua's team at the last moment. After that, every time they met Lin Zigua, Wang Kuan's team would be mocked and ridiculed. As time went by, grudges were formed. TSK, what can you use to surpass us? This little girl. Do you want to surpass our super godly military academy with this little girl? Ha! Ha ha ha, don't be too funny. I think there's no one in your school. I'm dying of laughter. Ha ha ha. It's really too funny. You're kidding me. Lin Zigua suddenly pointed at Yunjian. He looked at Yunjian and laughed at Wang Kuan and the rest. A girl dares to participate in such a large-scale friendly competition. What kind of joke is this? This girl looks skinny and weak. She doesn't have any strength at all. Min City Military Academy might not even be able to keep 3rd place this year. Pfft. Wang Kuan and the rest gritted their teeth in anger. Just then, Ce suddenly slapped away Lin Zigua's hand that was pointing at Yunjian. His cold eyes reflected a sharp murderous intent. Point at her again and I'll cut your head off. Normal people wouldn't emit such a terrifying aura. Lin Zigua was suddenly frightened by Ce's gaze and immediately shut his mouth. You just wait and see. Lin Zigua said as he ran away. Ce's aura surprised Wang Kuan and the rest, but they did not say much when they recovered from the shock. Gather. The instructor clapped his hands and signaled for everyone to quiet down. This is our Cheetah Bodyguard Company's chief bodyguard, Lin Kuei. He used to be one of the strongest special forces soldiers in the world. After he retired, he became our Cheetah Bodyguard Company's chief bodyguard. He once completed 9 extremely dangerous SSS-level missions with outstanding results, apprehended the world's top assassin, and captured an agent ranked 9th on the International Secret Agent ranking. He has participated in 21 international criminal gang arrest missions. His strength is one of the best in the world, let alone in Z country. The next 2 days of training will be led by our Cheetah Bodyguard Company's chief bodyguard, Lin Kuei. After the instructor finished speaking, more than 100 students from different military academies turned their gazes to this chief bodyguard called Lin Kuei. Lin Kuei was 1.9 meters tall. His muscular body and firm chest made people feel intimidated just by looking at him from afar. When Lin Kuei heard that the instructor had given him the responsibility, he stood up. "Hello everyone, I'm Lin Kuei. I'll be leading you for the next 2 days. In order to not let anyone doubt my strength, the instructor will draw a student's name from the lucky draw box over there to fight with me. The paper in this lucky draw box has the names of all the students present. If the student who is drawn can withstand one attack from me, I swear that I will never call myself the chief bodyguard again," Lin Kuei said confidently. The instructor beside him immediately drew a piece of paper from the lucky draw box under everyone's gaze. Then, under everyone's expectant gaze, he announced the name on the paper, Yunjian. Why did this name sound like a girl's? The surrounding people were stunned. It was only when Yunjian walked towards Lin Kuei that the surrounding students widened their eyes in shock. Why did he draw a girl? This girl was so thin and weak. She wanted to fight Lin Kuei. What kind of joke was this? Even Lin Kuei was stunned for a moment. When Lin Kuei came back to his senses, he coughed lightly and said to Yunjian, who was walking towards him, "Ahem, since you've drawn a little girl, you win if you can touch the corner of my shirt." Lin Kuei obviously wanted to give in to Yunjian. "No need," Yunjian shouted from the other side. After saying that, Yunjian spoke again in the next second. Wang Kuan, who was standing in the distance, and everyone around him suddenly widened their eyes. Chapter 1557. When Yunjian said such arrogant words, Lin Kuei, who was standing not far away from her, was stunned. The surrounding students from military academies from all over the country were all stunned. When they heard about Lin Kuei's battle record, all the male students were already excited. Lin Kuei was a special forces soldier who had dealt with international criminals. He had even captured the 9th on the international secret agent list alive. This kind of capital and ability was enough to scare any student present. Therefore, everyone present was 100% confident in Lin Kuei's ability. However, at this time, the person who was chosen to represent everyone was actually a girl. When they found out about this, all the boys were already certain that Yunjian would not be able to survive one move from Lin Kuei. Because Lin Kuei's battle record was there for all to see. Therefore, when Lin Kuei said that if Yunjian could touch the corner of his shirt, it would be her win, this sentence made the surrounding boys' blood boil. Lin Kuei was indeed the chief bodyguard of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company. His words were so domineering. So cool. However, before the surrounding people could react, Yunjian had already spoken. She actually said to Lin Kuei that the person who could not survive one move from her was him. For a moment, there was a deathly silence, and then a roar of laughter rang out. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. I'm dying of laughter. Ha ha ha. What did she say? She actually said that the person who could not survive one move from her was Lin Kuei. Did she not listen to Lin Kuei's battle record? Lin Kuei's ability is enough to kill her in seconds. She's also a girl. Ha ha ha. I'm dying of laughter. I'm dying of laughter. The person who was laughing was Lin Zigua from the Super Godly Military Academy. As a student of the Super Godly Military Academy, Lin Zigua had always been in a hostile state with the Min City Military Academy. Today, with Yunjian's performance, Lin Zigua had found a way to mock the Min City Military Academy, so he took the lead to jeer. Immediately, other people followed suit, and for a moment, there was only laughter left. Ce stood not far away with a calm expression. Although he was as calm as a mountain, he had already memorized every face that mocked Yunjian and planned to throw them out after the friendly competition. Cough. Little girl, it's not that I, Lin Kuei, am looking down on you, but you're a girl. I'm really afraid of hurting you. Lin Kuei finally opened his mouth. He first coughed lightly before speaking. He paused for a moment before continuing, I'm sorry. How about this? You go down and get someone else to come up. If you can even touch the corner of my clothes within 3 moves, I'll consider it my loss. Before Lin Kuei could finish his sentence, he saw Yunjian suddenly dash in front of him. Lin Kuei's pupils suddenly contracted. Before he could finish his sentence, Yunjian had already launched her attack. Yunjian's speed was simply too fast. In a flash, she was already beside him. When Lin Kuei saw this, his pupils constricted. He immediately realized that Yunjian, the little girl in front of him, was no ordinary person. However, just as Lin Kuei reacted extremely quickly and made a defensive gesture, Yunjian, who was already beside him, wrapped her hands around his arm like a snake's body. Yunjian pulled Lin Kuei's arm forward. At the same time, she lifted her leg and kicked Lin Kuei in the abdomen. In the next second, in front of everyone, Yunjian's 1.6-meter skinny body directly kicked the 1.9-meter tall big guy and sent him flying. This entire process only took a mere 3 seconds. When the students in the distance saw this scene, their bodies violently straightened. In the next second, their pupils contracted and their eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. Lin Kuei was an astonishing existence who had once captured the 9th-ranked agent on the International Secret Agent rankings alive. As for Yunjian, she was just an ordinary female student. She actually defeated Lin Kuei. One move. How was this possible? At this moment, they heard Yunjian's heavenly voice again. Her voice carried a hint of indifference. Chapter 1558. Yunjian's words reached the ears of Wang Kuan, Lin Zigua, Lin Kuei, and the rest who had looked down on Yunjian for being a girl. There was only one thing that could be said about the fight just now. Regardless of whether it was Wang Kuan who came from Min City Military Academy like Yunjian, Lin Zigua who was an enemy of Min City Military Academy, or Lin Kuei, the chief bodyguard of Cheetah Bodyguard Company. The most similar thing about them was that they looked down on Yunjian. They looked down on Yunjian because she was a girl. Yunjian's move just now was a direct slap to their faces. Lin Kuei, who got up from the ground, was in a state of shock. How confident he was just now was how pathetic he was now. In front of so many people, he was sent flying by Yunjian's kick without any mercy. Little girl. You. Where did you learn that move just now? The surrounding people were completely petrified. Only Lin Kuei got up from the ground pathetically and looked at Yunjian in a daze. Yunjian's move just now gave him a sense of déjà vu, self-taught. Yunjian stood coldly on the spot, pursed her red lips, and said calmly. That move. I think I've seen it somewhere before. Where was it? Lin Kuei scratched his head when he heard that and fell into a state of recollection. The surrounding people were speechless. Each of them was so shocked by Yunjian's move that their eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. Wang Kuan was the most terrified among them. Wang Kuan was the strongest person in Min City Military Academy. This was publicly acknowledged by the Min City Military Academy. Hence, when he first saw Yunjian, Wang Kuan had a feeling that he was superior. In addition, Wang Kuan looked down on girls. In Wang Kuan's mind, what use could a girl be? Other than being a burden, a girl was useless. Other than showing off his prowess in front of the girls and receiving a few screams of, "Wow, you're so powerful," which gave him great satisfaction. What's the use of girls? Especially when they found out that Yun Jian was still a freshman in high school, Wang Kuan and the others only looked at Yun Jian with contempt. A female freshman wanted to represent Min City Military Academy in such a large-scale friendly competition. Was she here to drag him down? Therefore, at the beginning, Wang Kuan and the others despised Yun Jian as much as they could with Yun Jian. But until just now, Yun Jian's strength had completely overturned everyone's understanding. Wang Kuan even thought that even 10 of him wouldn't be a match for Yun Jian's move. Ce had already walked to Yun Jian's side in front of everyone. He pulled Yun Jian into his embrace in front of everyone, as though he was declaring his sovereignty over her. After Ce pulled Yun Jian into his arms, he stroked her hair that was slightly swaying in the breeze. He was silent for 2 seconds before speaking softly to Yun Jian in front of everyone. "I won't allow anyone to look down on you. Otherwise, I'll kill them without mercy." In the lobby of Cheetah Bodyguard Company, a strong beam of sunlight shone in through the huge floor-to-ceiling window. The sunlight shone on Yun Jian and Ce as though they were the only 2 people left in the world. Their matching figures made Ce and Yun Jian seem to be more than just a handsome man and a beautiful woman. Lin Kuei's enlightened voice rang while the people around them stared at Yun Jian and Ce in bewilderment. What he said in the next second made everyone's jaws drop. I remember now. I'll never forget this skill for the rest of my life. 3 years ago, I took part in an operation to capture the #1 agent on the International Secret Agent ranking, slaying God. During that operation, I fought against the #1 agent on the International Secret Agent ranking, slaying God. Her strength was so amazing that I didn't even have a 0.0000001 chance of winning. Chapter 1559. Lin Kuei had a nagging feeling that he had seen Yun Jian's skills before, but he could not recall it no matter how hard he racked his brain. Just now, Lin Kuei had seen Ce wrap his arm around Yun Jian. The way they matched each other, it was as if the people around them were ants while they were kings and deities who saved them from torment. 2 words appeared in Lin Kuei's mind when he saw this scene. King. Yun Jian's ability. King. Lin Kuei had only faced one person in his entire life who had the ability of a king. That person was the #1 on the International Secret Agent ranking, slaying God. That was a terrifying existence that made one's fingertips go numb from fear. Lin Kuei's earlier words popped up in his mind. He thought about it and said it out loud. The ability that Yun Jian had displayed earlier was beyond what a military high school student should be capable of. Instead, it was very similar to the terrifying existence in his memory. Lin Kuei was shocked as well. He was now in a state of stupor. Lin Kuei was shocked. However, at this moment, after hearing Lin Kuei's words, the shocked expressions of the surrounding students could no longer be described with words. The #1 on the International Secret Agent ranking, slaying God. What kind of existence was that? That was an existence that struck terror into the hearts of others. Just the mere mention of this name was enough to make one tremble in fear. Most of the students present were from military schools all over the country. They were the most ordinary students in the military schools. The #1 on the International Secret Agent ranking, slaying God, that Lin Kuei mentioned, was an existence that no one present dared to imagine. That was a shocking and frightening existence. Therefore, when Lin Kuei mentioned that he had faced the #1 on the International Secret Agent ranking, slaying God, and that slaying God's skills were on par with Yun Jian's, all the students around, including the instructors who were standing at the side, were shocked beyond words. The #1 on the International Secret Agent ranking, slaying God. Slaying God's skills are on par with hers. Is this for real? Lin Zigua was so scared that he couldn't be described as shocked. His eyes were wide open as he stared at the scene in front of him. He was the first to ask in shock. Everyone snapped back to their senses as soon as he said that. Their sharp eyes stared at Yunjian as if they were waiting for Yunjian's reply. Yunjian's eyes flashed when she saw that everyone was looking at her. If I'm the number 1 on the international secret agent ranking, Slaying God, do you think you can still stand in front of me and talk to me? Yunjian's indifferent voice was heard as she spoke softly. Yunjian's nonchalant voice seemed to have a magical power. Her words made everyone present feel at ease all of a sudden. It was undeniable that CE had taught Yunjian how to lie. She said slaying as she spoke. The people around them were at a loss when they heard what Yunjian said. That's right. Slaying God doesn't look like you. I'm probably being too sensitive. Cough. Lin Kuei suddenly reacted. He scratched his head and thought about it. In the end, he felt that Yunjian was right. However, even if you're not slaying God, it's an indisputable fact that you've defeated me earlier. I, Lin Kuei, am willing to admit it. From today onwards, I'll step down from my title as the chief bodyguard. Lin Kuei was a righteous man. He patted himself on the shoulder and calmly said those words. After he finished speaking, the people standing not far away had yet to recover from the shock. Lin Kuei had just finished speaking when he turned to look at Yunjian in front of everyone and said something that shocked everyone. Chapter 1560. Although Lin Kuei looked down on women in the beginning, he was a man who dared to take responsibility for his actions. His strength and talent were on par with each other. When he told Yunjian that he wanted to be her disciple, Lin Kuei's words were full of modesty and humility. When he said that he wanted to be Yunjian's disciple, Lin Kuei didn't feel embarrassed in front of everyone. Although Yunjian was young, Lin Kuei didn't feel that it was shameful for him to want to be Yunjian's disciple. Being shameless was an important reason why Lin Kuei had the strength he had now. Lin Kuei didn't care about the reactions of the people around him. At this moment, Lin Kuei was looking straight at Yunjian. He looked as if he was waiting for Yunjian's reply. Lin Kuei really wanted to get an affirmative answer from Yunjian. However, before Lin Kuei could get the answer he was looking for from Yunjian's mouth, a mellow voice sounded. This magnetic male voice answered for Yunjian first. She won't accept you. Why? Lin Kuei exclaimed immediately. Why wouldn't Yunjian accept him? Because I won't allow it. Ci's flat voice sounded, causing Lin Kuei to be dazed for a moment. Ci's handsome face attracted attention wherever he went. Lin Kuei had already noticed Ce when Ce reached out to hug Yunjian. Who are you to her? It's her choice whether to accept a disciple or not. Who are you to make the decision for her? Lin Kuei didn't have a good impression of Ce's tyranny. Lin Kuei believed that everyone had the right to make their own choices. Ce was handsome, but who knew if he was a gigolo? A gigolo who only had looks but no strength. Lin Kuei was already in his 40s. He wasn't good-looking, but he was especially popular with girls when he was young. That was because Lin Kuei was strong. He believed that as a man, he could be ugly, but he definitely couldn't be like Ce, who only relied on his looks to attract girls. Therefore, when Ce stood up for Yunjian and rejected him, Lin Kuei was upset. The more Lin Kuei looked at Ce, the more he felt that he was a gigolo. As soon as Lin Kuei finished speaking, Ce's sharp eyes swept over him. His hawk-like sharp eyes stared straight at Lin Kuei. At this moment, Lin Kuei felt as if he was being stared at by the Grim Reaper. Ce grabbed Yunjian's small hand and turned to look at Lin Kuei with a murderous glint in his eyes. This gaze caused Lin Kuei's entire body to tremble. If you dare to pester my woman again, the Cheetah Bodyguard Company will be destroyed because of you. Ce's sharp gaze made Lin Kuei break out in cold sweat. She didn't know why, but the man in front of her clearly looked like a pretty boy. How could he have such sharp eyes? Everyone standing in the distance was dumbfounded. Especially Wang Kun and the others. Wang Kun and the others were all students from Min City's military academy. The school didn't send them here to let Ce and Lin Kuei quarrel. Moreover, Lin Kuei was the chief bodyguard of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company. The Cheetah Bodyguard Company wasn't weak. Even Min City's military academy had to give them face. But what about Ce? He represented Min City's military academy. In the end, he said such words to Lin Kuei in front of everyone. Wasn't he just looking for trouble? Just as Wang Kun was about to growl at Ce and tell Ce not to cause trouble, a loud voice beat Wang Kun to Ce. Let's see who dares to touch my Cheetah Bodyguard Company. When everyone heard this loud voice, they couldn't help but turn their heads. They saw a well-dressed middle-aged man in a formal suit entering the Cheetah Bodyguard Company's main entrance with a group of men dressed as bodyguards behind him. When this well-dressed middle-aged man entered the arena, everyone turned to look at him. The middle-aged man walked in with a dignified air. Seeing this middle-aged man, even Lin Kuei felt a sense of respect. He lowered his head to the middle-aged man and said, "Chairman." That's right, the middle-aged man who was shouting at Ce was the chairman of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company, Wen Jintian. At this moment, Wen Jintian ignored Lin Kuei who was shouting at him. He walked straight to Ce. Although he was shorter than Ce, he pretended to be domineering and shouted at Ce. Chapter 1561. Wen Jintian had just walked in when he heard Ce's voice. He actually said that he wanted to destroy the Cheetah Bodyguard Company. Youngsters these days were so young, yet they were so arrogant. Wen Jintian was instantly enraged. Hence, he walked straight in through the main entrance. He didn't even greet Lin Kuei as he directly shouted at Ce. When the surrounding people heard Lin Kuei address Wen Jintian as chairman, they all reacted. This was probably the chairman of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company. Everyone had witnessed Yunjian's capabilities, but in their eyes, Ce was just a weak gigolo. Furthermore, Wang Kun and the others knew that Ce was a transfer student. They didn't even know if he had any capabilities. How dare he be so arrogant? And he even said that he wanted to destroy the Cheetah Bodyguard Company. He must be dreaming. How could he destroy the Cheetah Bodyguard Company? Did he think that he was some powerful legendary figure? More importantly, the moment Ce said that he wanted to destroy the Cheetah Bodyguard Company, the chairman of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company happened to overhear it. Ce must have a death wish if the chairman of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company overheard it. The surrounding people were horrified just by looking at it, let alone Ce himself. When the chairman of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company, Wen Jintian, entered the room, it was obvious that he was angered by Ce. He didn't even have time to respond to Lin Kuei's greeting before he stared straight at Ce and shouted what he had just said. The surroundings were completely silent. Wen Jintian's aura was strong. After he spoke, the students present didn't dare to say another word. Wen Jintian had always been confident in his aura. He turned his head to look at Ce. Seeing that Ce was indifferent to what he had just said, he couldn't hold it in any longer. He spoke again with a slightly heavy tone. "Which military school are you from? Go back now. Our Cheetah Bodyguard Company doesn't accept gigolos like you. I don't care if young people nowadays use their appearance to put on airs. But in my cheetah bodyguard company's territory, I won't allow you to put on airs in front of me. Wen Jintian wanted to chase them out without a second word. His tone was so tough that even if CE apologized on the spot, he would never forgive him. Chairman. Chairman. It was his fault just now. Let's see if we can forgive him. I'm sure he won't dare to do it again. The leading teacher of Min City's military academy hurriedly ran to Wen Jintian to beg for forgiveness. The status of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company was one of the best in the world. As for Wen Jintian, as the chairman of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company, the people he dealt with were all international big shots. Therefore, no matter who they provoked, they would never provoke him. Everyone present was well aware of this. However, everyone thought that CE was stupid. He actually said those words in front of Wen Jintian. According to Wen Jintian's personality, he naturally wouldn't forgive CE. Moreover, Wen Jintian was short and ugly. Looking at CE's young and handsome face, Wen Jintian was envious of him, but he wouldn't say it out loud. Young people should be responsible for their words and actions. He has to leave. Wen Jintian glared at CE with his round eyes. Old man, are you sure? CE, who was standing opposite him, said coldly with a smirk, Old man, are you sure? Old man. What? You called me old man. Which military school are you from? Let me tell you, you're expelled from your military school. How dare you call me old man, When Wen Jintian heard CE's words, he was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Not only did he plan to force CE to leave his Cheetah Bodyguard Company, but he also planned to use his influence to force CE to be expelled from Min City's military academy. In everyone's eyes, CE's actions were completely suicidal. Was he stupid? How dare he challenge Wen Jintian? Wen Jintian was a tough person. If someone said something wrong in front of him, Wen Jintian was the kind of person who wouldn't forgive them even if they were beaten to death. Just when everyone thought that CE was doomed for provoking Wen Jintian, a loud male voice suddenly came from the entrance. Then, Shui Ying's figure appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Chapter 1562. Shuang strolled in from the entrance of Cheetah Bodyguard Company. His shoes made a shiny sound as they rubbed against the smooth floor. His words were heard by every student, the chairman of Cheetah Bodyguard Company, Wen Jintian, and all the bodyguards. Everyone shuddered in fear. The students might not know what kind of existence an Hun organization was. To them, organizations like an Hun organization and Kosha mercenaries didn't have much of an idea. Perhaps some of them had heard of them. However, to the chairman of Cheetah Bodyguard Company, Wen Jintian, who had been trying to curry favor with an Hun organization and gain some benefits from them, this was fatal news. Wen Jintian obviously knew Shuang. After hearing Shui Ying's words, he and Lin Kuei both looked at CE in fear. Young master. Then you are. Wen Jintian's mouth was full of shock. His pupils shrank as he stared at CE. Watch your mouth. If you say another word, Cheetah Bodyguard Company will be put on an Hun organization's must-kill list. Shuang shouted at Wen Jintian. This shout scared Wen Jintian so much that he shut his mouth. An Hun organization's must-kill list. What was a must-kill list? Any person or organization that was put on an Hun organization's must-kill list would be hunted down by an Hun organization. An Hun organization had so many world-class secret agents and assassins. Any person or organization that was put on an Hun organization's must-kill list would be hunted down by an Hun organization until their death was confirmed. Throughout history, no one had ever escaped the pursuit of an Hun organization's must-kill list. Without exception, they would all die. Therefore, an Hun organization's must-kill list had always been a taboo for the international bigwigs. Shui Ying's shout had succeeded in making Wen Jintian tremble. Seeing Wen Jintian take a step back, Shuang didn't have the time to chat with him. He strode towards Ce and whispered something in Ce's ear. Ce's gaze sharpened. In the next second, he pulled Yunjian's hand and walked out. Hey, you, what are you going to do? The teacher from Min City's military academy exclaimed when he saw Ce and Yunjian walking out. We'll take 2 days off and return on time for the friendly match, Ce said calmly without turning his head as he held on to Yunjian's hand. The teacher in charge of the Min City Military Academy had no idea what was going on. He opened his mouth, but in the end, he let Ce and Yunjian go. Students from military academies all over the country were arranged to train at the Cheetah Bodyguard Company. Their goal was to stand out in the friendly competition on the 3rd day. Yunjian's strength was already on display. Even the chairman of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company feared Ce's power. The teacher in charge of the Min City Military Academy didn't dare to stop them. He could only hope that Yunjian and Ce would come back as soon as possible. At this moment, Ce had already pulled Yunjian's small hand and walked out of the gate with Shuang. Shuang had only said 7 words to Ce, "There's an incident in Yulong mainland." Therefore, Ce and Yunjian immediately took Shuang and Mo Sen to Yulong mainland. At this moment, Yulong mainland, the Huyan clan, the #1 aristocratic family of Yulong mainland, was celebrating at this moment. The patriarch of the Huyan clan, Huyan Ba, was standing in front of the Huyan clan's people, looking down at them. "Father, the Wu race has been defeated by my Huyan clan. Tomorrow, the Wu race will become the slaves of my Huyan clan. Humph, I think that the legend of the return of the witch god is just empty talk." A 1.55 meters tall man was standing next to Huyan Ba. He looked old and fat. His face was full of indulgence. This man was Huyan Ba's son. His name was Huyan Lei. The legend of the return of the witch god is just a bluff. Humph. The Wu race is just a thing in my palm, Huyan Ba said confidently. Chapter 1563. It was no secret that Huyan Lu was addicted to beauty. Although Huyan Ba hated Huyan Lu's bad habit, he was still his son, so Huyan Ba could only nod. "Once the shaman race is dominated by my Huyan clan, you can do whatever you want with the shaman girls." Huyan Ba never cared about these things. All he wanted was to dominate. Back then, when the Murong family was suddenly destroyed by the sorcerer tribe, Huyan Ba was actually quite worried that the sorcerer god of the sorcerer tribe had returned. However, how could the sorcerer race allow the Huyan clan to sit on the throne of the #1 aristocratic family of the Yulong continent for so long if the sorcerer god of the sorcerer race were to return? Back then, the sorcerer god was extremely powerful. The god of sorcerer had decided that it was impossible for him to tolerate the Huyan clan sitting on the throne of the #1 aristocratic family. The sorcerer god had yet to return. The only possibility was that the sorcerer tribe had already obtained the sandalwood box. It was a sandalwood box that could destroy all the continents in the universe in an instant. However, Huyan Ba felt his eyelids twitching. He had a bad premonition. As for what this bad premonition was, he didn't know. The next morning, the sky of the Yulong continent was still in the early stages of dawn. However, the sorcerer race's palace had already been destroyed by the powerhouses sent by the Huyan clan. At that moment, the people of the sorcerer tribe were retreating to a mountain behind the sorcerer tribe palace. "Patriarch, we can't resist the Huyan clan's attack any longer. What should we do? Where is the sorcerer god? Would the sorcerer god come to his rescue? Will our witch race really be exterminated by the Huyan clan?" At the back of the mountain, everyone looked at Wulan, the tribe leader of the sorcerer tribe, and asked a terrifying question. There were many aristocratic families in the Yulong continent. Big aristocratic families like the Huyan clan and the sorcerer race weren't the only ones who were at war. The other small aristocratic families of the Yulong continent were also at war with each other. On the losing side, all the men in the clan would be killed, and the girls and women would become the slaves of the winning side. To put it bluntly, they were prostitutes. This was the eternal principle of the Yulong continent. Most of the members of the sorcerer tribe were women, and all of them were as beautiful as fairies. Outsiders had long been itching for them. As the leader of the sorcerer tribe, Wulon frowned. Lon Su was standing beside him, and Adam was also standing beside Lon Su. As long as I'm here, nothing will happen to you. Adam frowned and said. He had spent some time with Lon Su in the Yulong mainland. Compared to before, he had become much more mature. But as long as Lon Su refused to be with him, Adam would still use his stubborn temper to force Lon Su to be with him. Adam wasn't without confidence when he said this. He was one of the 4 great guardians of the Lord Divine Lord. It was a pity that he had lost all of his spirit power. If he were to forcefully use his spirit power, he could still raise the Yulong mainland to the ground. However, he had lost his previous spiritual power. If he were to forcefully use his spiritual power now, he would never be able to recover it. Therefore, he wouldn't use his spiritual power until the very end. Lon Su's eyes twinkled. Suddenly, the voice of the Huyan clan's patriarch, Huyan Ba, was heard from the opposite side of the mountain. People of the shaman tribe, listen up. If you hand over the sandalwood box obediently, I won't make things difficult for you. But, if you don't hand over the sandalwood box, then, my Huyan clan won't be soft-hearted. It didn't matter whether the sorcerer tribe obediently handed over the sandalwood box or not. They couldn't escape the fate of becoming prostitutes of the sorcerer tribe. This was the so-called winner-takes-all. Huyan Ba was still shouting from the opposite side. Huyan Suo was rubbing his hands. He couldn't wait to experience the feeling of riding those delicate and tender girls of the sorcerer tribe under his body. Huyan Ba was standing on the opposite side of the mountain. He was looking at the sorcerer tribe. Then, a beautiful female voice was heard from behind him. It sounded like the sound of nature. It made Huyan Ba and all the people of the Huyan clan tremble. How dare you attack my sorcerer tribe while I'm not here? Huyan clan, how dare you? Chapter 1564. When Huyan Ba heard the voice that he had only heard 1,000 years ago, he was so scared that he quickly turned around. However, he saw an unfamiliar girl in short sleeves and long pants standing in front of him. Huyan Ba's brows were tightly knitted together. Thousands of years ago, when the sorcerer god was famous in the Yulong continent, Huyan Ba was still a rascal who was wandering in the Yulong continent. Therefore, Huyan Ba had never seen the sorcerer god at that time. Naturally, Yun Jian's appearance was also unfamiliar to Huyan Ba. Oh! What a beautiful little beauty! Huyan Lu, who was standing next to Huyan Ba, did not know the meaning of Yun Jian's words at all. The moment he saw Yun Jian, his eyes widened. The clothing of the Yulong continent was almost the same as the ancient costumes of Z country. Therefore, in the eyes of Huyan Lu and the others, Yun Jian's short sleeves were extremely revealing. Therefore, just by looking at Yun Jian's tender arms, Huyan Lu felt a certain part of his lower body erect. Huyan Lu felt that just by looking at Yun Jian's tender arms, he could not help himself. If this little beauty was lying under him. TSK. How ecstatic would that be? However, before Huyan Lu could have any thoughts about Yun Jian, CE, who was standing next to Yun Jian, stretched out his right hand. He raised his slender right palm and grabbed Huyan Lu's face from a distance of more than 10 meters. Paw paw paw. In the next second, a series of explosive sounds were heard. At the back of the mountain, the people of the sorcerer tribe, Wulan, Lan Su, Adam, and the people of the Huyan family, including Huyan Ba, were all present. They clearly saw Huyan Lu's eyeballs, who was standing in front of them and staring at Yunjian. After Ce stretched out his hand and grabbed him, his eyeballs instantly burst. In the next second, there were only 2 small holes where Huyan Lu's eyes used to be. His eyeballs disappeared without a trace. Ah! My eyes! Eyes! Ah! In the next breath, Huyan Lu's painful roar was heard. Huyan Lu fell to the ground and rolled on the ground in pain. This unforeseen event only took 1 second. Ce's attack was so quick that no one there could react in time. Huyan Ba watched his son's eyeballs being crushed by Ce in the air. By the time Huyan Ba reacted, his son, Huyan Lu, had already fallen to the ground and rolled. Initially, Huyan Ba was still considering that Yunjian's familiar voice sounded very similar to the sorcerer god in the past. Now, however, he could not hold himself back anymore. Pfft, those were all people who had already died. Kill him, clan elder. The people of Huyan clan couldn't help but shout. Huyan Ba was the strongest person in Yulong mainland. His spiritual power was second to none. Therefore, the people of Huyan clan were very confident. Even Huyan Ba was confident that no one in Yulong mainland could rival him as long as the sorcerer god didn't appear. Just as Huyan Ba was 3 meters away from Ce, he had gathered his most powerful spiritual energy and was about to hurl it at Ce to kill him, but Ce was suddenly struck by lightning. The spiritual power that Huyan Ba had gathered in his hand disappeared in the next second under the watchful eyes of the people of Huyan clan. It disappeared. Only the sorcerer god can make an immortal cultivator's spiritual power disappear within 3 meters of him. In the next breath, everyone's eyes widened as they turned to look at Yunjian in shock. Chapter 1565. Huyan Ba's eyeballs were about to fall out of their sockets. Back then, Huyan Ba was confident that the sorcerer god could not return. Now, he was terrified that Yunjian was the sorcerer god. No, this is impossible. The sorcerer god cannot return. How is this possible? How is it possible for the sorcerer god to return? How is it possible for him to return? At this moment, Huyan Ba was shaking his head frantically. He was shaking his head in horror as he spoke these words. The sorcerer god could not return. Where did it go wrong? Didn't the sorcerer god fall completely? How could the sorcerer god still exist in this world? Are you surprised? When the Huyan clan tried to destroy the sorcerer tribe, it was the time for the Huyan clan to reach a dead end. Today, I will destroy the Huyan clan with my own hands and restore the sorcerer tribe's throne as the #1 family in the Yulong continent. After Yunjian finished speaking, she took out the god-vanquishing blade that Ce had made for her and held it in her palm. Then, she pointed the god-vanquishing blade at Huyan Ba. When the god-vanquishing blade was held in Yunjian's hand, the sharp blade emitted a sharp luster. In the next second, the brilliance of the god-vanquishing blade illuminated the whole place. The god-vanquishing blade was a legendary blade. The person who owned it could not only kill an immortal cultivator with a single slash, but more importantly, the person who owned it could even kill the most powerful deities of the gods' continent. It could be said that the person who owned this blade was the master of all the continents. This blade had been in the hands of the Lord Divine Lord since it was born. Ce had given such a treasure to Yunjian. It was as if he had handed over his position as the master of the continent to her. The only deity in the world who could control this god-vanquishing blade was the Lord Divine Lord. After Yunjian finished speaking, the god-vanquishing blade in Yunjian's hand emitted a dazzling light. After the light faded, Huyen Ba suddenly regained his senses. If his eyeballs were about to fall out a moment ago, then his eyeballs were about to explode at this moment. He stared at the god-vanquishing blade in Yun Jian's hand, but in the next second, he exclaimed, "The god-vanquishing blade." It was the god-slaying blade. Wasn't the god-vanquishing blade Lord Divine Lord's divine weapon? It's in your hands. Could it be? Huyen Ba suddenly reacted. Just now, Ce had reached out with her hand at a speed that he couldn't even see with his naked eyes. She had grabbed his son's eyeball and burst it. Just now, Huyen Ba was overwhelmed by his anger and didn't have time to think about it. The god-vanquishing blade belonged to the Lord Divine Lord. If that was the case, Sir Divine Lord. You're not the Lord Divine Lord. Huyen Ba stared at Ce and immediately sat down on the ground. Lord Divine Lord. It was said that the Lord God was the ruler of the gods' continent. Huyen Ba was truly frightened. If the return of the sorcerer god was enough to frighten Huyen Ba, then the Divine Lord was an existence that Huyen Ba couldn't even imagine. For example, in Huyen Ba's eyes, the Divine Lord's identity was like a god in the eyes of earthlings. He was a figure that existed in fantasy. Hence, when he saw the god-vanquishing blade and Ce's strength, Huyen Ba was shocked. However, Yun Jian didn't give Huyen Ba a rebuttal or a correct answer. She pointed the god-vanquishing blade at Huyen Ba. She didn't want to give Huyen Ba a chance and wanted to end him directly. When you go to hell, you'll know the answer. Yun Jian's lips curled up coldly. She waved the god-vanquishing blade. Just as she was about to end Huyen Ba's life with one slash, suddenly, Huyen Ba's eyes turned. He knelt in front of Yun Jian and Ce and shouted. Chapter 1566. Yun Jian had originally planned to use the god-vanquishing blade to kill Huyen Ba and make him disappear from this world completely. However, she did not expect Huyen Ba to say such words. Did he know that she and Ce had been looking for traces of the mysterious person? Did he know how to recover the memories of her and Ce when they were the sorcerer god and Sir God? This, I really know. I really know. If I'm lying, it won't be too late for you to kill me then. Huyen Ba raised 3 fingers and said firmly to Yun Jian and Ce. Whether a person was lying or not could be seen from their facial expressions. Huyen Ba's expression told Yun Jian that he was not lying about this. Speak. Ce shouted as he glanced coldly at Huyen Ba. Although Ce still had the ability he had when he was a Lord Divinity and had some memories of his time as a Lord Divinity, his memories were only fragments. Regardless of whether Huyen Ba was telling the truth or not, what if he was telling the truth? At the very least, if what Huyen Ba said was true, it would be of great help to Yun Jian and Ce. Huyen Ba looked around carefully and said to Yun Jian and Ce, "There are too many people here. Let's talk in the cave over there. Shuang and Mo Sen, you two go to Adam first." When Ce heard this, he did not turn around. Instead, he turned his handsome face sideways and said softly to Shuang and Mo Sr., "Yes, young master." Shuang and Mo Sen responded. Then, the two of them swaggered toward where Adam and the other sorcerer tribe members were. Rather than swaggering, it was better to say that Shuang put his arm around Mo Sen's shoulder and walked over. "You little rascal, how was your time in the Yulong mainland? Was it fun?" As soon as they arrived, Shuang put his arm around Adam's shoulder. He first knocked Adam's head with his hand, then said to Adam with a grin. The scar on Shuang's neck was horrifying. If this scar was removed, he would undoubtedly be the most handsome among the 4 leaders of An Hun. Of course, even with this terrifying scar, Shui Ying's handsome appearance still attracted the attention of a large group of witch tribe girls around him. At this moment, Yun Jian and Ce had already followed Huyan Ba into an empty cave. "I'll tell you everything I know as long as you let go of my Huyan clan." Huyan Ba wasn't a fool. He stated his conditions as soon as he entered the cave. "Do you think you still have the right to negotiate with us?" Yun Jian held the god-slaying blade in her hand. She swung the butterfly blade like god-slaying blade with ease. That way, it would be as if she could accidentally stab the god-slaying blade into Huyan Ba's heart and turn him into ashes. Huyan Ba swallowed his saliva. For the first time, he was speechless in front of a teenage girl. Moreover, this teenage girl was the sorcerer god who had once dominated the Yulong mainland. "I'll tell you. But you have to let go of my Huyan clan after I tell you." Huyan Ba was afraid that Yun Jian and Ce would wait impatiently. So, he paused for a moment after he said this. Then, he continued to speak. "That was half a year ago. At that time, I went to the central mainland as the patriarch of the #1 family of the Yulong mainland. Then, I accidentally heard a conversation between two mysterious people. Those two mysterious people were wearing black robes. I listened carefully because they mentioned the Lord Divine Lord and the Sorcerer God. Chapter 1567. Lord Divine Monarch, that's a supreme existence. When I was listening to the two mysterious men, I didn't believe them at all. Because what kind of existence is the Lord Divine Lord? How could he use up all his spiritual power and even go against the way of heaven to save the Sorcerer God of Yulong Continent for the Sorcerer God? That's impossible. But then I thought about it. 1,000 years ago, when the Lord God of Yulong Continent came to Yulong Continent, he asked if the Sorcerer God was there. Then, the Lord God said that the Sorcerer God wouldn't come. The Lord God asked his protector to kill the Lord God. So I listened carefully at that time. Huyan Ba wanted to continue his nonsense, but Yun Jian didn't let him have his way. Yun Jian took a big step forward and swung the butterfly knife made from God-vanquishing blade lightly, placing it on Huyan Ba's neck and yelling at him, "What are you doing? Get to the point. I'll kill you if you keep talking nonsense." Huyan Ba's eyes turned. He was so scared that his whole body trembled. He quickly begged for mercy, don't. I'm just laying the foundation. The main point is at the end, speak." The God-vanquishing blade in Yun Jian's hand pressed coldly against Huyan Ba's neck, inching closer. This time, Huyan Ba didn't dare to talk nonsense. He quickly continued. The two mysterious men said that the Lord God and the Sorcerer God were still alive. They said that they were in a place called Earth. They even sent people to assassinate them. When I heard about this, I also sent people to look for a place called Earth. But they couldn't find that place, so I gave up. I didn't believe that the Sorcerer God was still alive, until just now. Don't, I'll say it. I'll get to the point. Don't. Huyan Ba started to talk nonsense again. He seemed to be stalling for time. However, just as Huyan Ba was about to talk nonsense, Yun Jian moved the God-vanquishing blade closer to his neck. Huyan Ba no longer dared to talk nonsense. He quickly got down to business. I met those two mysterious people in the central continent. If you want to find them, you'll have to go to the central continent. However, I can't guarantee that they're from the central continent. Also, the two mysterious people mentioned something else. That is, if the Divine Lord and the Sorcerer God return and want to recover their strength and memories, they have to get the sandalwood box. They have to inject powerful spiritual energy into the sandalwood box in order to open it. Legend has it that this sandalwood box is a divine artifact. With it, one can become the ruler of all the continents. Even on the gods' continent, no one is a match for it. After Huyenba finished talking about the main point, he began to sigh with emotion. As soon as he finished speaking, Yun Jian interrupted him. Have you finished what you wanted to say? Finished. Ah, you. Just as Huyenba came back to his senses, he felt a white light flash in front of him. Yun Jian's god-slaying blade had already slit his throat. You're trustworthy. At the moment when he fell, Huyenba shouted with all his might. Huyenba closed his eyes. The last thing he heard in his life was Yun Jian's cold voice. I never promised to let the Huyen family go. The Huyen family has had enough of the throne of Yulong mainland. It's time to return it to its rightful owner. Huyenba was dead. The Huyen family was destroyed. After thousands of years, the sorcerer tribe had regained the throne of Yulong mainland's #1 family. 1,000 years ago, before the sorcerer god fell, he promised that he would return after 1,000 years. Some people said that the sorcerer tribe would prosper with the sorcerer god around. Now, the sorcerer god had returned as promised and led the sorcerer tribe to regain the throne of Yulong mainland's #1 family. Chapter 1568. Witch Tribe Palace. The destruction of the Huyen family represented the rise of the Witch Tribe. At this moment, the Witch Tribe Palace was holding an exciting banquet. Yun Jian, Ce, Adam, Shuaing, Mo Sen, Lan Su, and Wu Lan did not attend the Witch Tribe's banquet. At this moment, they were sitting in a corner of the backyard of the Witch Tribe Palace. A sandalwood box was placed on the table in front of them. The sandalwood box was not like other antiques. From its appearance, it was bright and beautiful from beginning to end. It did not even give people a sense of age. This was also why Yun Jian could replace the sandalwood box with a high-end imitation. In his previous life, Lang Sha kidnapped Xiao Yunju and forced Yun Jian to hand over the sandalwood box. Yun Jian handed over a high-end imitation, but Lang Sha did not discover that it was an imitation. At this moment, Ci's hand was on the sandalwood box. Is what Huyenba said really feasible? Are we really going to open the sandalwood box now? As the witch tribe leader, Wu Lan was still very worried about Yun Jian and Ci's actions of opening the sandalwood box. It was strange that the sandalwood box had never been opened since it appeared. To open the sandalwood box, one would need powerful spiritual power. Now, the only person who could do this was Ce. Open. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and said. Hearing this, Ce injected her powerful spiritual power into the sandalwood box. The sandalwood box on the table shook violently. Then, under everyone's eyes, it opened. Suddenly, a strong ray of light refracted. The moment the light shone, it seemed to be able to destroy the heavens and the earth. In the next second, Ce and Yun Jian fainted under the strong light. Even Mo Sen, Shuang, and Adam next to them were the same. The memories from 1,000 years ago came flooding back like a tidal wave. You guys. After the light faded, Lan Su saw that Yun Jian and the others had fainted. Stop shouting, I think they are trying to retrieve their memories. Wu Lan pressed down on Lan Su's hand that was about to shake Adam. She stopped Lan Su. Time, like a twisted tunnel, opened the dusty memories. 1,000 years ago, in the residence of the sorcerer god and the sorcerer tribe. Lan Su helped the sorcerer god put on a black coat and stood beside a bronze mirror as he asked the sorcerer god, Lord Sorcerer God, the ceremony is about to begin. Aren't you going? No. The sorcerer god stood up and walked out. Halfway through, the sorcerer goddess stopped in her tracks. She turned sideways, her slender figure wrapped in a black robe. She moved her red lips slightly and said to Lan Su, I'm going out for a walk. You don't have to come with me. Yes. Lan Su nodded. Only then did the sorcerer god leave. There was a quiet forest in Yulong mainland. There was a cave in the forest. There was a bed and daily necessities in the cave. The sorcerer god didn't like those complicated things. When she was bored, she only liked to walk around in this quiet cave. She was the respected sorcerer god of the sorcerer tribe. Everyone envied her, but no one knew that she was tired of this identity. Her life belonged to the sorcerer tribe. Protecting the sorcerer tribe was her mission. She didn't even have the chance to choose her own love and survive. The sorcerer god had just walked into the cave when she turned around when a familiar man's aura hit her. A slender hand grabbed her slender wrist. Lord Divine Lord. Seeing the man in front of her, the sorcerer god was stunned and was about to bow. Why didn't you come to the ceremony? You don't want to see me. He grabbed her hand and questioned her. Just now, when the king of Yulong mainland said that she wouldn't appear at the ceremony, he couldn't help but let his protector kill the king. We don't belong to the same world. Don't come looking for me again. The sorcerer god lowered her head slightly. She was about to continue speaking when he grabbed her wrist and pulled her onto the bed. Chapter 1569. As he spoke, he buried his head in her neck and nibbled on her snow-white neck. His heavy breathing hit her side. The sorcerer goddess put her hands between him and her body, but allowed him to nibble on her snow-white skin. Until the snow-white skin on her neck turned red from his nibbling, she only put her hands between their chests and did not move. He grabbed her head, but was so gentle that he could not bear to hurt her. He buried his head and kissed her red lips fiercely. This time, she reached out to push him away, but her hands were caught in one of his large palms. She could not break free. Actually, she had feelings for him too. If she did not have any feelings for him, she would not have allowed him to nibble on her neck and leave marks on her beautiful and pure skin. It was only when he released her lips and stopped moving while panting heavily that she called out softly, Lord Divine Lord. Although she was the sorcerer goddess and was called the sorcerer goddess by the world, she was so powerful that she was invincible. However, no one knew that she could kill a god with her bare hands. In the whole world, there was only one person who was more powerful than her. That person was her nemesis. That person was the Sir Divine Lord. Don't call me Sir Divine Lord. If you call me that again, I'll take you. His eyes were red. He reached out and grabbed one of her slender wrists above her head. She looked straight at him. There was no fear in her eyes. She did not call him Sir Divine Lord anymore. Because she knew that if she called him that, he would really do what he said and take her right here. As the sorcerer goddess of the sorcerer tribe, as a girl of the sorcerer tribe, she could not lose her virginity to a man before marriage. Otherwise, she could either kill the man, marry him, or commit suicide. Naturally, she could not break this rule first. Tell me, why didn't you come to the ceremony? Seeing that the girl was distracted under him, he pressed her head to make her look into his eyes and asked. He did not see her at the ceremony just now, so he was impulsive. The king of the Yulong mainland said that the sorcerer goddess would definitely not come to the ceremony. He did not show his emotions on his face, but asked his protector to kill the king of the Yulong mainland. Now, outsiders might think that the divine monarch had gone mad. We shouldn't meet again. You're the divine lord of the gods' continent, and I'm the witch god of the wizard tribe. We shouldn't. She said. She shouldn't have gone to God's continent 3 years ago, and she shouldn't have gotten to know him. They shouldn't have been together in the first place. Perhaps it was a mistake from the first time they met. Shouldn't. To me, you are the best gift given to me by the heavens. I won't allow you to say those 3 words again, he said forcefully before kissing her hard on the lips. The sorcerer god existed because of the sorcerer tribe. It could be said that she existed for the sorcerer tribe. The word love was not allowed in her life. Otherwise, it would be going against the heavens. Going against the heavens meant that she would fall and her soul would scatter. She really wanted to tell him that she was willing, but he bit all over her neck and tore off the black shirt on her shoulder. Just as he was about to rip her clothes off, she blocked his hand. Lord, divine Lord, don't, she was not weak. She reached out to stop him from violating her, but he broke through in the next second. The sorcerer goddess's strength was unmatched in the entire Yulo mainland. Even in the gods' continent, she had a shocking record of killing gods. However, in front of the Lord Divine Lord, her strength was not as good as his. When he heard her call him Lord Divine Lord in such a distant manner, he grabbed her delicate wrist and pulled it out. Where are you taking me? Her eyes moved slightly as she asked. Chapter 1570. As he spoke, he pulled her out of the cave from the bed. His actions seemed rough, but in reality, he was holding her hand and gently and carefully pulled her out of the cave. I'm not going to the gods' continent. When they reached the entrance of the cave, the witch goddess retracted her hand. She tried to pull her wrist back, but he held it firmly. You don't have a choice. He could satisfy her with anything else, but this was the only thing he wouldn't agree to. You can't be so bossy. I'm the witch god of the witch tribe, not one of your people. She refused to follow him out of the cave, but she stood in place. When she said, I'm not one of your people, he tightened his grip on her hand. I'm the ruler of the gods' continent. Can't I take you away? As he spoke, he tightened his grip on her hand. His eyes were fixed on her as he said this very seriously. As he said this, his gaze landed on her body, only to see that her shoulders were bare. Because when he pushed her onto the bed, he reached out and tore off the clothes on her shoulders, revealing half of her fair shoulders. At this moment, her shoulders were half exposed. Her fair shoulders swayed in front of him. He swallowed hard and took a big step forward. What are you doing? When she saw him standing in front of her, she took a step back out of reflex, but she fell back against the stone wall of the cave. He didn't say anything and moved closer to her. She instinctively shrank back. Because of the way he treated her just now, she was in a daze for a moment. Just as she was about to push him away, he grabbed her wrist. Then, his hand was attached to the plain clothes on her shoulders. Just when she thought he was going to do something unreasonable to her, she felt his hand on her shoulder grab her black shirt and pull it up a little. He didn't let go of her until he tidied up her clothes. So he just wanted to tidy up her clothes. She was stunned. She raised her head slightly and saw his handsome and flawless face. She could only reach his chin. When she raised her head, she could see his well-defined chin and the long eyelashes beside his eyes. Seeing that he was only tidying up her clothes, she actually felt a little disappointed. She was shocked by her own thoughts, so she quickly suppressed them in her mind. Before she could finish her sentence, a man with delicate features walked over from the side of the cave. The man stood in front of the Divine Lord and called out, Sir Divine Lord. Then, the man glanced sideways at the sorcerer god and said to the Divine Lord, Sir Divine Lord, a black-robed man has invaded the gods' continent. The gods can no longer hold him back. Please return and help. This man was none other than Shuang. The snow eagle from 1,000 years ago had thrown away his handsome and candid aura, and there wasn't even a scar on his neck. Handsome and dashing. Apart from the Divine Lords, Shuaying's looks were enough to instantly overtake all the other men on the continent. He was truly a handsome man. The Lord God turned his head and glanced at Shuaying. He grabbed her hand and tightened his grip slightly. Then, he turned to look at her and said solemnly, "Wait for me at the sorcerer tribe." At this moment, the lock on her memory disintegrated. It was as if something was forcefully preventing her from recalling her memories. Yunjian, Ce, Shuang, Adam, and Immerse, who were lying on the table, suddenly raised their heads at the same time. Then, what happened? The moment Yunjian raised her head, a drop of cold sweat rolled down from the corner of her eye. She said listlessly. Chapter 1571. Wu Lan's words brought Yunjian back to reality from her memories. "I didn't find it. After the black light flashed just now, I ran in the direction it came from, but I couldn't find any trace of it even after a long time. I think it's probably the mysterious person who did it." Lan Su ran over from afar, panting. She frowned after she said that. Yunjian sat on the bench with her hand on the table, supporting her head with one hand, looking like she was deep in thought. While Yunjian was deep in thought, a large hand grabbed her. "Xiao Jian, I won't let you go again." It was Ce. Ce grabbed Yunjian, preventing her from looking elsewhere. "I'm not the witch goddess. I won't leave. Even if the witch tribe is destroyed, I'll always be with you." Yunjian held Ce in return. It was her first time saying such touching words in front of so many people. Yunjian, Ce, and Shuang did not receive any relevant memories of what happened after the memory was cut off. Therefore, no one knew what happened next. "Yunjian, have you recovered your spiritual power?" Lan Su went to Yunjian and asked in anticipation. "Let me try." Receiving a part of the witch goddess's memory felt like a part of another person's memory was forcefully inserted into her own life. In spite of it, she had received a part of the witch goddess's memory. Yunjian raised her hand slightly to see if she could gather spiritual power. Swoosh! The moment Yunjian raised her hand, a gust of wind whipped up around them. A huge tornado hovered on the spot, its force so strong that it seemed like it could tear the entire Yulong mainland apart. So this is spiritual power. Yunjian's eyes glinted as she looked up to scan her surroundings. The wind and clouds were raging around them, the force of the gust almost collapsing the witch tribe's palace. Yunjian's eyelashes fluttered. She was a little shocked. Because at this moment, no one knew better than her that the spiritual power she was using now was as weak as a speck of dust under her fingernails. What if she used all of her spiritual energy? Yunjian was pleasantly surprised for a moment. Spiritual energy, it was indeed a good thing. Fully recovered. "Yunjian, have you fully recovered your spiritual power?" Lan Su was already used to calling Yunjian by her real name. At this moment, seeing Yunjian's spiritual power recover, Lan Su was so excited that she almost jumped up. Sorcerer God. Patriarch. What was going on? Why did the skies suddenly darken and there's even a gust of wind? In a place far away, a young shaman girl braved the fierce wind and walked towards a side courtyard with great difficulty. The strong wind blew all of a sudden. The people of the sorcerer tribe were celebrating the return of the sorcerer god and the return of the sorcerer tribe as the #1 family in the Yulong mainland. However, this gust of wind had suddenly blown up and scared the people of the sorcerer tribe. Could it be that the Huyan family hadn't been destroyed? Therefore, the people of the sorcerer tribe in the palace deliberately sent the young shaman girl to the backyard to ask for help from the sorcerer god and the patriarch. "It's me," Yunjian's red arc curved slightly. She raised half of her face into a smile. Then, she put down her hand. The huge wave that had just condensed in her hand disintegrated and disappeared in a flash. It didn't leave any trace behind. The young shaman girl was stupefied when she saw this scene. The young shaman girl was stunned for 2 seconds. Then, she suddenly exclaimed loudly. She turned around and rushed towards the main hall. She ran while shouting, "The sorcerer god has recovered his spiritual power. The sorcerer god has recovered his spiritual power." Her ecstatic voice almost reverberated through the sky. It wasn't difficult to feel how pleasantly surprised the young shaman girl was when she heard this news. The sorcerer god was powerful, and this meant that the sorcerer tribe would be able to maintain peace for a long time. The sorcerer god was the religion of the sorcerer tribe. In the past, the sorcerer god had killed the gods of the gods continent. Some people had once asserted that the sorcerer god of the sorcerer tribe was more powerful than the sorcerer god in the whole world. Besides the Lord God of the gods continent, no one could be a match for him. The sorcerer god was a person who existed in the world. People couldn't help but respect and adore him. The Yulong continent seemed to be peaceful. But, it was full of ups and downs of crisis. The person who had interrupted her, CE, and the others from receiving the memory transmitted from the sandalwood box must be that mysterious person. She hadn't seen the mysterious person's true face from her previous life until she had returned to the Yulong continent. But, the mysterious person had always existed. Yun Jian couldn't express her anger in words. But, she had to go back to Earth first. As for the central continent that she had heard from the mouth of the Huyan family's patriarch, Huyan Ba had said that he had heard the conversation between two mysterious people in the central continent. So, Yun Jian had to go to the central continent. But now wasn't the time. She had to go back to Earth now. Yun Jian, CE, and the others returned to Earth early the next morning. They went straight to Pu City in He Province. Chapter 1572. Country Z, He Province, Pu City. The morning sky was a little hazy. It was chilly and the wind blew. The sun could not be seen until noon. There were only dark clouds in the sky. They were different from the snow-white clouds that floated by on a sunny day. The dark clouds that floated by in the sky were very dark. The dark clouds dyed the sky pitch black. However, there was no sign of rain on the dark clouds that had been floating in the sky since the morning. The friendly competition started in the morning and lasted until 4 in the afternoon. The friendly competition was a competition of individual results. For example, target shooting, and 5,000-meter cross-country running were all calculated based on individual results. Then, all the scores of the students from each military academy would be added together to form the total score. This total score would be directly calculated into the ranking of all the military academies. The total score would be the ranking of all the military academies. The morning passed quickly. There were still 20 minutes to the end of the competition. Wait a minute. Isn't it unfair to calculate the total score now? Min City Military Academy is short of 2 people. Our total score can only be ranked 3rd among all the military academies. Wang Kuan stood in front of the military academy students and said with dissatisfaction. Pfft. Your Min City Military Academy only got this result last year. So what if that girl is back? Although she defeated Lin Kuei, the chief bodyguard of Cheetah Bodyguard Company, we are competing in the individual competition this time. Only when the individual results are added to the total score will the school's total score be calculated and ranked. Wang Kuan. I don't want to criticize you, but there are only 20 minutes left. After 20 minutes, no matter what the reason is, you will be disqualified. Moreover, a 5,000-meter cross-country run takes more than 20 minutes. Even the fastest would take more than 10 minutes, right? So what if the 2 of them are here now? Do you think they can complete all the tests in 20 minutes? TSK. Wang Kuan, stop daydreaming. Your Min City Military Academy can forget about getting second place this year. Hey, why are you looking at me like that? Ha! I see that your Min City Military Academy is short of 2 people. It's already good enough that your total score can barely secure 3rd place in the military academy. You are still not satisfied. Wang Kuan was a student from Min City Military Academy. Just as he was feeling indignant that his school was missing 2 people from the competition, Lin Zigua, a student from the super elite school, who had always been hostile to Min City Military Academy, stood up. After Lin Zigua stood up, he mocked and sneered at Wang Kuan. His smug look was simply unbearable to the people present. There was a time limit for the friendly match. Once it was 4:00 in the afternoon, even if Yun Jian and Ce made it back in time, they would have been disqualified at that time. Even if he came back now, there were only 20 minutes left before the start of the match. In 20 minutes, they had to finish the 5 events of the 5,000-meter cross-country run, shooting, target practice, and long jump. Pfft, was this a dream? Unless Yun Jian and Ce could fly, there was no way they could complete these 4 projects. Lin Zigua, you. Wang Kuan was so infuriated by Lin Zigua that he almost vomited blood. On this large field, all the military academy students had already received their individual achievements. They were just waiting for 4:00 to officially end the friendly competition. What about you? Who asked those 2 students from Min City Military Academy to be so useless? They want to compete with our super elite school. Dream on. Lin Zigua said arrogantly. At this point, Lin Zigua felt that it was not enough, so he added, I think you should just give up on those 2 students from Min City Military Academy. They won't be able to come back. Even if they come back now, it's too late. There's only 20 minutes left. You can still fight. Lin Zigua muttered the last sentence to himself. However, just as Lin Zigua finished muttering to himself, a sharp female voice rang out. The voice was loud and clear, but it was enough to make everyone present turn their heads and look over. Who said we're giving up? Don't talk about whether your super elite military academy can keep second place. Today, I'm going to take first place from Taiji Military Academy. Just as he said that, Yun Jian and Ce came into view from the other end of the hall. Chapter 1573. She actually said that she wanted to take first place in Taiji Military Academy. How arrogant! Everyone present sucked in a deep breath. Yun Jian's ability aside, the friendly competition wasn't about a person's ability. It was about the points of each person's abilities. The total score of a military academy was calculated by adding up the scores of all the students in each individual event. What kind of existence was Taiji Military Academy? Since the first season of the friendly competition, Taiji Military Academy had been firmly in first place. Ever since the friendly competition was held, Taiji Military Academy had never gotten second place. As for Taiji Military Academy's first place ranking, the students of the other military academies no longer doubted it. Yet, Yun Jian actually said that she wanted to take first place. And there were only 19 minutes left before the competition ended. If Yun Jian and Ce could complete 4 events in 19 minutes and get full marks for each event, then Min City would be able to take first place in the competition. It wouldn't be a joke if Min City Military Academy could really take first place this year. Was it possible to get full marks for each event? Was it scientific? Furthermore, there were only 19 minutes left. If there was enough time, Yun Jian and Ce would be able to achieve excellent results for each event. They might even be able to surpass the Chaoshan Military Academy, which was currently in second place. Ahahaha. There are only 19 minutes left, alright. Weren't the 2 of you pretty cocky 2 days ago? Now that there's not enough time, let's see if you can still do it. Lin Zigua was already dissatisfied with Yun Jian and Siyi's abilities. Taking advantage of this opportunity to mock them, he mocked them for the rest of his life. That's right. There are only 19 minutes left before the competition ends. Does she really think that she's a god? Although this girl is pretty, she's too narcissistic. Yeah, she really doesn't know what's good for her. The students from the other military academies also started mocking them. In an instant, everyone's target was Yun Jian and Ce. Since the students from the other schools had already finished their matches, more than 100 people were waiting to see Yun Jian and Ce's performance. Teacher, please help me prepare the timing for all the events. Ignoring everyone, Yun Jian turned to look at the referee who was recording the results and keeping time with the stopwatch and spoke faintly. The moment Yun Jian said this, the teachers and referees were dumbfounded. Were these two students really going to challenge them? There were only 18 minutes left. Would they really make it in time? Even so, the teachers and referees still quickly finished the stopwatch and other things for the 4 events. The students around them made way for them as their eyes were glued to Yun Jian and Ce. The most exciting moment had come. The students around them all held their breaths. They watched as Yun Jian and Ce raised the rifles in front of them the moment the referee finished the stopwatch for the first event. They didn't even look at the target. Yun Jian and Ce grabbed their rifles and fired 10 shots in a short span of 10 seconds. The two of them were equally matched in terms of speed. The first event only took 10 seconds to complete. Then, Yun Jian and Ce quickly ran to the second event. They finished shooting in 10 seconds? How can that be accurate? Lin Zigua said disdainfully in front of the crowd. As he spoke, he sneered as he looked at the target. However, what caught his eye was the 2 targets on the target. Out of the 10 rings, all 10 shots hit the target. This was a perfect performance. Lin Zigua and the surrounding students who were mocking Yun Jian and Ce widened their eyes. When they turned to look at Yun Jian and Ce, they saw that Ce and Yun Jian had already completed the second event, the third event, the long jump, and started the fourth event, the 5,000-meter cross-country run. They only used half a minute to complete the 3 events. What? What kind of joke was this? Was this still the speed a person should have? Chapter 1574. The voices of the 2 referees shocked the crowd. Excluding the time taken to run from one event to another, Yun Jian and Ce completed one event every 10 seconds. Lin Zigua, who was standing far away, exclaimed in horror, "No. This is impossible. How can they complete the task in such a short time? And, full marks. If Yun Jian and Ce could complete the 5 kilometers cross-country run in the last 10 minutes and get full marks, then Min City Military School would be first this year." At this moment, not only were Lin Zigua and the other super godly military school students shocked, even the Taiji Military School students widened their eyes in shock. On the other side, Ce calmly reached out and grabbed Yun Jian's hand in front of everyone. The 2 of them ran towards the route of the 5 kilometers cross-country run. It didn't seem like they were running, but they were actually running very fast. Most importantly, Ce and Yun Jian hadn't used their full strength yet. But even so, it was enough to make everyone's hearts clench. If this continued, even Taiji Military School's first place would be snatched away by them. There was a part of the 5 kilometers cross-country run that went around the foot of the mountain. Both the teachers and the referees couldn't see anyone during this part of the route. The stronger boys from Taiji Military School looked at each other and then greeted the other boys from Taiji Military School. Then, they quietly walked towards the small path at the back of the mountain. "There's a good show to watch." Let's go watch it. Lin Zigwe saw this and brought a few students from his school to chase after them. Wang Kuan and the rest didn't notice the small movements of Taiji Military School and Lin Zigwe's group. The people from Min City Military School were still standing in place, waiting for Yunjian and Ce to arrive. Back of the mountain, Ce and Yunjian were sprinting at top speed. To outsiders, they looked like they were sprinting, but at this moment, Ce was holding Yunjian's hand as he jogged with Yunjian at his slowest speed. The two of you, if you're smart, you'd better stop right now. Don't lose this round on purpose. Our Taiji Military Academy has been in first place since the start of the friendly competition. If Taiji Military Academy loses the competition because of you, we won't let you off. A few boys from Taiji Military Academy rushed out from the small path and stood in front of Yunjian and Ce's route. They blocked Yunjian and Ce from afar. The boys from Taiji Military Academy were all tall and strong. They stood in a row and blocked Yunjian and Ce's path. From the looks of it, even if they couldn't beat Yunjian and Ce, they still wanted to prevent Yunjian and Ce from reaching the finish line in the allotted time. If Yunjian and Ce got full marks this time, then no one would be able to change Min City Military School's first place. Lin Zigwe and the rest, who were following behind, watched from afar. There wasn't much time left. With the boys from Taiji Military Academy blocking them, Yunjian and Ce definitely wouldn't be able to reach the finish line in the allotted time. Lin Zigwe grinned and thought that the boys from Taiji Military Academy would definitely be able to stop Yunjian and Ce. Lin Zigwe and the rest were shocked to see this scene. However, Yunjian and Ce didn't even look at the boys from Taiji Military Academy. The two of them leaped up from the ground in tacit understanding. They jumped 2 meters high and stepped on the heads of the two boys from Taiji Military Academy. With a light leap, they bypassed the boys from Taiji Military Academy and continued running. The two boys from Taiji Military Academy were so angry that their faces turned green. Yunjian and Ce had already run forward. No matter how hard the boys from Taiji Military Academy and Lin Zigwe and the rest chased after them, they couldn't catch up. There was no doubt that Min City Military School's first place was in the bag. Yunjian had just finished running when she saw Yu Xiaoluo standing by the side at the finish line. Seeing that Yunjian had reached the finish line, Yu Xiaoluo waved at her. Although she didn't know why Yu Xiaoluo was here, Yunjian still walked over. Ce didn't follow her because Yu Xiaoluo had stopped her. In the dark, Yu Xiaoluo frowned slightly. He turned his head and said to Yunjian, "The hunting school selection has been brought forward. It will officially start in 7 days. Then, there will be a month of close training. Those who are eliminated will be sent out of the selection field. Are you ready?" Hearing this, Yunjian raised her eyebrows slightly and said softly, "I'm always ready." Chapter 1575. Since you're always prepared, I'm relieved. I'm just worried that the selection would be held a month later, but now that it's brought forward, you won't be prepared. Yu Xiaoluo was relieved to hear Yunjian say that she was ready. He was afraid that Yunjian would be eliminated within a few days of going to the selection if she wasn't prepared. The selection, as the name suggested, was to select those who could represent Country Z and go to the hunting school to further their studies. The selection would eliminate all the shortlisted candidates, and the top 3 special forces would be selected in the end. The top 3 special forces would be members who could go to the hunting school to further their studies. Okay. Yunjian nodded at Yu Xiaoluo. Although Yunjian's attitude towards Yu Xiaoluo was normal, it was all thanks to Yu Xiaoluo's recommendation in front of Min City's principal Ma that she was able to enter the selection. Yu Xiaoluo was Gu Yunjian's comrade. He had promised Gu Junjian that he would take good care of Yunjian at Min City's military academy. He did it and even did her a big favor. Yun Jian had always been a person who would take revenge and repay kindness. Although she wouldn't say much, she would always remember his kindness in her heart. Yun Jian, you can go over there and gather first. I'll leave first. I have a mission. I was just passing by, so I thought I'd tell you about it. Yu Xiaoluo saw that the students from Min City's military academy had already gathered and were preparing to return to Min City. He quickly reached out and pointed in their direction before speaking to Yun Jian. After Yu Xiaoluo finished speaking, he turned around and left first. He was wearing a dark green military uniform. His tall and handsome figure was enough to make many women scream. Yun Jian walked over to Ce the moment Yu Xiaoluo turned around. What did you say? Ce grabbed Yun Jian's little hand and asked softly. Yun Jian told Ce that she was going to the hunting school. Ce tacitly agreed with Yun Jian's decision. As long as her decision didn't endanger her life, he wouldn't stop her. Coincidentally, I'm also going back to the organization. Call me when you're back. As soon as she returned, he would return to Min City's military academy or Longmen City immediately. Since she wasn't around, he naturally wouldn't stay a second longer. He reached out and rubbed Yun Jian's head as he said softly. He loved her more and more, just like when he was the Lord Divine Lord, he was willing to give up his life for her. Ce didn't tell anyone that he had recovered all his memories from his previous life when the sandalwood box was opened. Yun Jian's memory stopped at that moment, but Ce's memory had completely recovered. However, he did not intend to tell her about his memory recovery. If possible, he hoped that she would never regain her memories. Back then, the sorcerer tribe had been framed by the black-robed man. The sorcerer god had used all of his spiritual energy to protect the sorcerer tribe, but he himself had gone against the heavenly Tao and his soul had been destroyed. As a divine sovereign, he didn't even think twice before using his own godhead to defy the heavenly Tao and save her. A god who used his godhead would have his soul destroyed directly. He had planned to exchange his life for hers. Afraid that the black-robed man would harm her again, he forcefully tore open the stone tunnel to earth and sent her there. As for himself, his soul should have been destroyed because he had gone against the heavenly Tao, but somehow, he had fallen to earth and followed her. As for his 4 guardians, the 4 leaders of an Hun group, they had followed him to earth voluntarily and had lost their memories of their past lives. One of the most important reasons Ce didn't want Yun Jian to remember the past was that the black-robed man must be the mysterious person who had never shown himself. If she remembered this, based on his understanding of her, she would definitely seek revenge from the mysterious person. He didn't want any accidents to happen to her, not even the slightest possibility. It was enough for him to take revenge for her alone. He had once said that even if he were to die, it would be him taking her place. Chapter 1576. Yun Jian, who stood in front of him, lifted her head to glance at him before lowering it shyly. Looking at Yun Jian, Ce felt that everything he had done was worth it. At least now, she was willing to be with him openly. Just as Ce was thinking about it, Yun Jian suddenly told him, "You're right. If you don't come back, I'll look for you in the organization. Look for him in an Hun group." Ce's lips curled up at her words. In the next second, he pulled her into his arms. "Xiao Jian, I'll never let go of you in this lifetime, the next lifetime, and the lifetime after that, forever." He hugged her waist and declared solemnly. "Even if the sky falls, I'll never leave you." Yun Jian hugged his firm chest in front of her classmates. "Yo, yo. Over there, over there. Ha ha ha." Wang Kuan and the rest had no more opinions about Yun Jian and Ce now that they had gotten first place in Min City's military academy. Looking at Yun Jian and Ce hugging each other, Wang Kuan and the rest started teasing them instead, their initial sarcasm gone. Not long after they returned to Min City's military academy, Ce went back to Enhun Group first. Yun Jian had to prepare for the selection field these days, so Principal Ma personally approved Yun Jian's 7-day leave after she returned to Min City's military academy. These 7 days allowed Yun Jian to prepare in advance for the selection field. In fact, Yun Jian did not have to prepare anything intentionally, but she accepted the 7-day leave that Principal Ma applied for her gladly. It was Friday when she returned to school, so school was dismissed right after she arrived. Lin Wan and Muing walked out of the school gate with her. As they walked, Lin Wan was still very envious of Yun Jian. "Wow, you can have 7 days off. That's so cool. I really envy you, Yun Jian. We can rest for 2 days on the weekend." Muing whispered at the side. "That's different. We have 2 days off on the weekend and have to go back to school. Yun Jian can rest for 7 days. 7 days. It's as long as the National Day holiday." Lin Wan said enviously. Most of the students were counting the days until the holidays. Muing, on the other hand, felt that school was a very safe place after her bloody experience in the Enhun organization in her previous life. On this point, everyone's experiences were different, and their understandings were also different. Just as she returned to Longmen City, Yun Jian received Ning Lanlan's call. It had been a while since he last saw Ning Lanlan. He first met Ning Lanlan when they were having a barbecue by the river. Ning Lanlan had borrowed salt from Yun Jian and the others. Ning Lanlan was a very energetic girl who used to study in foreign languages high school. After her senior high school entrance exams, she got into Longmen City's second high school. Second high school was considered a key high school in Longmen City. Although it was not as good as first high school where Yuni studied, being able to get into second high school was already an impressive feat in 1999. Mobile phones were gradually becoming more common. Children from wealthy families already had mobile phones in their hands. Ning Lanlan asked Yun Jian out to play and Yun Jian did not reject her. Initially, Yun Jian had planned to look for Zhang Xiaofeng, Chen Sini, and Ling Yichen when she returned to Longmen City. She wanted to look for Zhang Xiaofeng because she wanted to supervise Zhang Xiaofeng on whether Zhang Xiaofeng had trained properly while she was away. However, since Ning Lanlan asked her out, Yun Jian put aside the idea of looking for Zhang Xiaofeng and the others. They agreed to meet on Saturday. The next day, Yun Jian wore clothes of decent quality today. It was a white top with a pair of dark blue jeans. The jeans showed off her figure very well. Yun Jian's exquisite beauty was exposed completely in this outfit. At the meeting place, Yun Jian saw Ning Lanlan. There were 3 to 4 young men and women standing beside Ning Lanlan. Yun Jian knew one of them. It was the senior whom Ning Lanlan admired, Xiao Jiming. Chapter 1577. Ning Lanlan was waving at Yun Jian with 7 tickets in her hand. Soaring Dragon Mountain was a newly opened scenic spot in Longmen City. Soaring Dragon Mountain was a natural sightseeing platform with natural beauty. Later on, after some artificial modification, it became the current scenic spot. The reason why Soaring Dragon Mountain was charged was that its scenic spot was great. Many TV drama crews would visit Soaring Dragon Mountain to shoot scenes. Nowadays, TV dramas and movies were gradually becoming popular in the leisure time of the people. It was not as popular as it was now, but to people back then, it had gradually developed into a pastime to kill time. How did TV dramas and movies come about? Of course, they were filmed. Therefore, the term production crew was deeply ingrained in people's hearts. Soaring Dragon Mountain was beautiful and many production crews loved to visit it. This was why many people were willing to pay to enter Soaring Dragon Mountain now. The goal was to see how those magical TV dramas were filmed. After all, in this era, high-tech things like TV dramas and movies were magical to many people. I have tickets here. Shall we go to Soaring Dragon Mountain now? Ning Lon Lon pulled Yun Jian into her arms when she saw Yun Jian coming over. Yun Jian did not object. It was not a bad thing to go out for a walk when they were free. The teenagers standing around them were Xiao Jiming's friends. Yun Jian had long known that Ning Lon Lon had a crush on Xiao Jiming. As for the other teenagers, Ning Lon Lon did not know them very well. Foreign Languages High School had a high school section as well. It was a pity that Ning Lon Lon did not get into the high school section during the middle school exams. Xiao Jiming was a student of Foreign Languages High School and Ning Lon Lon and Xiao Jiming were no longer in the same school. Even so, Ning Lon Lon still wanted to drag Xiao Jiming out with her. In spite of it, Xiao Jiming had a lot of friends and there were a lot of tickets to Soaring Dragon Mountain this time, so he brought a few of his classmates to go with him. Soaring Dragon Mountain was beautiful indeed. It could be seen from the entrance of the scenic spot. As soon as they entered the entrance of the scenic area, Ning Lon Lon pulled Yun Jian's hand and walked to the side to tell Yun Jian mysteriously and excitedly, "Yun Jian, did you know? Senior Jiming said that after we finish high school, he will agree to be with me because he has to prepare for the college entrance exam. He doesn't want to be distracted." Sometimes, love was just that cheap. Even if one had to wait for 3 days, as long as there was a time limit, it was enough to make a person go crazy. Ning Lon Lon was just like that. Ning Lon Lon pulled Yun Jian aside and whispered a lot to her. She also asked if Yun Jian was doing well recently. When the group of people climbed to the top of Longting Mountain, they saw that not far away, there was a film crew filming, and there were many people watching the show. "Hey! They're filming over there. Let's go take a look." Ning Lon Lon grabbed Yun Jian's hand excitedly and ran over. Xiao Jiming, as well as a few accompanying boys and girls, also ran over. Right in front of everyone, a man and a woman dressed in ancient costumes were filming a battle scene. "Kakaka. Shu Qin, you're acting as a female assassin. Do you know what a female assassin is? What's with that gentle look of yours?" The director beside them was so angry that he immediately yelled at the actress to cut the scene. "Director, I don't know how to do it." The actress stomped her feet and replied coyly. Ning Lon Lon and the rest who were standing far away were excited as they had never seen a film before. However, the girlfriend of one of Xiao Jiming's friends pouted. She said in a softer voice, "I think she's quite good at acting." Xiao Jiming's friend's girlfriend was called Siti Qing. She was quite good-looking and had a nice body. Siti Qing was only halfway through her sentence when Yun Jian's voice came from the side. The moment they heard Yun Jian's voice, the people around them looked at her. However, Yun Jian's sharp words echoed throughout the place. Chapter 1578. Siti Qing had just finished speaking when Yun Jian spoke up. It was obviously a slap to her face. Siti Qing was displeased at once. Yun Jian and Ning Lon Lon were walking together and Siti Qing was not particularly familiar with the latter. If it were not for Yun Jian who spoke up after Siti Qing might not have spoken a word to Yun Jian after they were done with the scenic spot of Longting Mountain. In spite of it, Yun Jian's quick response was obviously a slap to Siti Qing's face. Hence, Siti Qing's face darkened as she spoke to Yun Jian. "You sound so serious. Have you been an assassin before? How do you know so much about them?" Siti Qing's words were sharp. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that she was targeting Yun Jian. Ning Lanlan picked it up as well and spoke to Situ Ching on Yunjian's behalf. Xiao Jian is a military school student now. Of course, she knows about this. Ha. Oh. Should she know about assassins just because she's a military school student? Why don't you say that she used to be an assassin? Situ Ching rolled her eyes at Yunjian and Ning Lanlan, her tone rather inappropriate. Ching, that's enough. Situ Ching's boyfriend who stood beside her was trying to hold her back, not wanting her to continue talking to Yunjian and Ning Lanlan. Hey, let go. Situ Ching flung her boyfriend's hand away like she was pissed off. She stood aside in a huff. Cough. This little girl's analysis is very thorough. I don't know if this little girl has some understanding of this profession. Can I ask this little girl to teach the actors in our cast? The director heard Yunjian's comment and put down his microphone at once to go to Yunjian. Logically, the director was supposed to be a superior person, but he was different. Not only did he not scold Yunjian for spouting nonsense after hearing her comment just now, he went over to ask for Yunjian's advice instead. Director, why don't you ask her? She was just a student from some trashy military school. She wasn't a real assassin and only knew how to spout nonsense. What kind of strength did she have? Ha! Seeing that the director came over to ask for advice from Yunjian, Situ Ching thought of Yunjian's behavior just now and complained to the director angrily about Yunjian. Yunjian did not pay attention to Situ Ching at all. Seeing that the director was trying to learn, she said, his moves are as gentle as water. He doesn't have the agility and vigilance that a killer should have. The actor you found to play the killer is too lousy. Oh, my level is too low. My level is too low. You're amazing. Do you know how? I've never seen an assassin before. If you do, why don't you demonstrate it for me? The actress named Xu Qin, who was standing not far away, heard Yunjian's words. She was so angry that she shouted at Yunjian. Watch carefully. I'll only demonstrate once. Yunjian really walked over there. The actress on the other side was stunned. When Yunjian got there and came face to face with the male actor who was the actress's rival just now, the people around them were stunned. Pfft. You think you've been an assassin just because you studied in a military school? You're really amazing. Does that mean that if I studied in a key high school, I'm the top scholar in the middle school entrance examination in the country? You. Before Situ Ching could finish her sentence, someone screamed, "Look, there." Hearing this, everyone around looked over there, only to see that Yunjian's eyes were sharp in the next second. The actor standing in front of her took 2 steps back in surprise. In the next breath, she strode forward and grabbed the prop sword in the actor's hand. She kicked the actor's knee with one foot and pinned him down with a backhand. This scene caused the surrounding crowd to be somewhat astonished. Especially Situ Ching, her pupils constricted. However, this was not the end. After the actor who was pinned down came to his senses, he raised his head and stared at Yunjian with his eyes wide open. In front of everyone, he said in a panic, "I have 15 years of martial arts foundation. Unfortunately, I once met a senior assassin. At that time, I couldn't last more than 10 moves against that senior assassin. In the end, I risked my life to save myself." Chapter 1579. As soon as the male actor said that, the people around them were shocked. Situ Ching and the actress Xu Qin, in particular, looked as terrible as charcoal. "I'll be a soldier in the future." At that moment, Yunjian narrowed her eyes and said calmly, "Little girl, you're going to be a soldier in the future. Which school are you studying in, Lo?" After watching Yunjian's move just now, the director clapped his hands at her and made his way to them. Yun Jian's words changed the topic of Yun Jian being an assassin. That was right. How could such a young girl be an assassin? My friend is studying in Min City's military academy. She's amazing. You'll know who she is if you go to her school and ask for her name. Hee hee. Ning Lanlan walked over and hugged Yun Jian's shoulder. She turned around and glared at City Qing as if she was standing up for Yun Jian. City Qing and the actress Xu Qin did not look too good. Min City's military academy. Little girl, you're amazing. You're studying in Min City's military academy. You'll be a great soldier when you grow up. Study hard and bring glory to the country. The director glanced at Yun Jian with admiration. I will. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. As Yun Jian spoke to the director, City Qing and the actress Xu Qin did not look too good. All right. Xu Qin, continue. Did you see what this little girl demonstrated for you? Do what she did just now. Bring out your aura. Act well. After speaking to Yun Jian and Ning Lanlan, the director turned around with a thin script and waved it up and down to get the actors to continue. City Qing was left standing on the spot. Her expression was extremely grim. As it turned out, Yun Jian had given her a hard slap in the face. City Qing was a stubborn person. After what happened just now, she was suddenly enraged. She turned around and walked down Longting Mountain. City Qing's boyfriend saw that and quickly chased after her. Qing, where are you going? Slow down. Don't throw a tantrum. City Qing refused to continue strolling around Longting Mountain, so she left with her boyfriend. City Qing's boyfriend was Xiao Jiming's friend. Xiao Jiming smiled awkwardly and said to Yun Jian and Ning Lanlan, don't mind them. Let's continue shopping. Dragon Soaring Mountain had great scenery. Yun Jian, Ning Lanlan, and the others spent the whole afternoon there and went home at 3:00 in the afternoon. When they arrived at the foot of Soaring Dragon Mountain, Xiao Jiming invited Ning Lanlan to walk around alone. Ning Lanlan was over the moon. Seeing that, Yun Jian left first. Yun Jian did not go home but went to Qing Yu's suite instead. Qing Yu stayed in Longmen City now, participating in the management of both New Cruise and Falcon Hall. Yun Jian came over to tell her something. However, just as they arrived at the door of Qing Yu's luxurious suite, Si Luo's voice came from inside. I'm not leaving. I want to stay with Sister Qing Yu and Sister Gu Nian. Sister Qing Yu said that men and women shouldn't touch each other. I don't want to stay with you, I don't want to sleep with you. This isn't right. Yun Jian heard what Si Luo said to Shuang before she even stepped through the door. Her eyes flickered. Yun Jian had just reached the door when she saw Shuang grabbing Si Luo's wrist. The scar on his neck could be vaguely seen. Shuang frowned at Si Luo's words. He did not look happy, but he held Si Luo's delicate wrist forcefully. He only spoke in a domineering tone after Si Luo was done speaking. You have to stay with me no matter what. Why? I don't want to stay with you. Let go of me, let go of me. Si Luo shrunk back in fear, still not daring to meet Shuaying's eyes. Shuaying was indeed a man who did not know how to speak. He twitched his lips a few times but did not utter the words because I like you. Sister Qing Yu said that we can't stay together, much less sleep together. Otherwise, I won't be able to get married. Si Luo panicked, trying to pull her hand back from Shuaying's grip. Unexpectedly, Shuang pulled Si Luo to him in a huff after hearing her and pinched her chin with his other hand, hissing through gritted teeth. Chapter 1580. Looking at Shuang, Si Luo was a little scared. She was about to say something to Shuang when she saw Yunjian standing at the door. Sister Yunjian, help me talk to him. I don't want to leave. I want to stay with Sister Qingyu and Sister Gunyan. I don't want to stay with him. Looking at Yunjian, Si Luo pressed her lips together. She did look like a pitiful little wife. Si Luo was just an ordinary girl with zero love history, not to mention knowing why Shuang was treating her like this. Si Luo was afraid that Shuang would do this to her. After hearing what Shuang said, she was even more terrified. She felt like Shuang was going to kill her. Young madam, I can listen to your orders for anything else, but you don't have to care about this. Shuang said in a serious tone. Yunjian narrowed her eyes and glanced at Qingyu and Gunyanji, who were hiding on the side without saying a word, giggling with their hands over their mouths. Feeling thick-skinned, she uttered softly in a very unkind tone. I didn't see anything. Didn't see anything. To hell with it. She saw everything, right? Qingyu and Gunyan, who were sitting on the sofa, smirked at Yunjian. In the end, Si Luo was taken away by Shuang in her final struggle. After Si Luo was taken away by Shuang, Yunjian went to Qingyu and Gunyan. Sister Jian, you're so kind. Qingyu teased Yunjian. Do you want to go to Africa? Yunjian sat on the sofa and turned to look at Qingyu with a smirk. Don't, Sister Jian. You can't do that. Qingyu shook her head quickly, almost freaking out from Yunjian's words. When she was done teasing, Qingyu's expression turned grim as she reported to Yunjian about the recent information collected by the Kosha mercenaries. Sister Jian, Master asked me to tell you that there's an assassin organization called Blood Doll in Southeast Asia recently. It's taking down other organizations in Southeast Asia in the shortest time possible and has become the top organization in Southeast Asia. During this period, the Blood Doll had interfered with the Kosha mercenaries' missions many times. He even left behind cards written in blood to provoke us. But even our Kosha mercenaries' intelligence team can't find out anything about the Blood Doll. What should we do next? Qingyu's master was Snake. Lizard. The Blood Doll that Qingyu mentioned was a new assassin organization in Southeast Asia. His origin was unknown. The purpose is unknown. The motive is unknown. Recently, the Blood Doll had interfered with the Kosha mercenaries' missions many times. His motive seemed to be deliberately interfering with the Kosha mercenaries' operations. Blood Doll. Yunjian narrowed her eyes and said these 3 words calmly. Yes. Qingyu nodded. Yunjian narrowed her eyes and said softly, stay put and wait for the enemy to make the first move. Southeast Asia was located in the southeast of Asia. There were a total of 11 countries. The Kosha mercenaries and Han organization's branches were located far away from Southeast Asia. That was why the Blood Doll could develop in Southeast Asia. Of course, the rise and fall of assassin organizations was a common occurrence. Yunjian could not and would not care about it. However, the Blood Doll had been provoking the Kosha mercenaries again and again when it was still in its development stage. A smart person would not have done that. The Blood Doll must have its own reasons for doing so. Yunjian was not stupid. Of course, she would not choose to attack the Blood Doll directly. I'll inform Master right away. Qingyu nodded at Yunjian. Yunjian nodded. It was already 4 p.m. when Yunjian returned home. Cee was not around, so Yunjian went to Guyunjian's mansion. Qin Yiru had already prepared dinner when she entered Guyunjian's mansion. There was only Yunjian, Qin Yiru, and Xiao Yunju for dinner. Guyunjian should still be out on a mission. Xiao Jian, I'm planning to let Xiao Zhu and the others stay at your Auntie Dong Ruan's house for a few days tomorrow. Your aunt is sick and she doesn't have any relatives or friends outside the province. I'm planning to take a ride with your grandma to visit her. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.